Yeah, I'm gonna go there, but I'm gonna risk it.
So where are we?
Okay, so. Uhuru. We're going to be starting momentarily, and again, I just want to appreciate everybody's being here, and you're going to hear an extraordinary presentation by the Deputy Chair. But I wanted to just also contribute to hopefully an understanding of your significance. Because the African community is in a constant state of warfare. I can't even overstate the struggles that we're involved in. And much of it has been struggle that's initiated by our liberal friends, and who have come in the guise of being friends of our community, and who've done things that's supposedly helping us, but dismantling any capacity for us to be a self-governing, self-determining people, feed, clothe, and house ourselves. And even the liberal movement toward neo-colonialism, and that was the victory again of the liberals. They would help us by putting together like welfare and food stamps, etc. That required that African man couldn't be in the house, that destroyed our families and things like that, at a juncture where African people, even if we were poor, we were collectively poor. And we worked to solve our problems together. This is where your first barrier societies that became black insurance companies and things like that emerged out of that. The liberals, in helping us with food stamps, with welfare, which came at the expense of self-determination. It was a conscious determination. It came at the expense of self-determination. It was a war against self-determination and a war against the so-called conservative or reactionary sector of the colonial ruling class. And that's part of what it is that we were confronted with. I want to say that people will speak about, and perhaps it will get talked about some during this particular convention. But there's been massive assaults on schools and things like that. Black schools in our communities all around the country. They closed something like 24 in black community in Chicago. I don't know how many they closed here, but Sumner was an extraordinary school that was here. And they destroyed clinics. The first medical school here for black people, they destroyed that. All of that was destroyed, so that we don't have the capacity for self-determination. That was a part of what the fight was about. I want to say that this destruction of the schools was some of real significance. Not so that we can learn something about George Washington Carver making peanut butter, or we had something to do with making the last for shoes, etc. But when Algeria achieved independence, what was that, 72 was it? Somewhere around that time, when Algeria achieved independence, 90% of the population was illiterate. 90% of the population was illiterate. Under colonialism, when Congo became formally free under Lumumba, there may have been 19 Africans from Congo in the world who had a university education. So what they've done is to make sure that we're not capable of running our own governments, to be able to have our own capacity. You become free, you become independent, you got governments to handle, you got budgets you got to make sure works for everybody, you got to set up educational systems and stuff like that. But that's part of what the attack was about. And the thing that helped in Algeria was that there were French leftists and friends of the movement, and then there was Cuba and a couple of other so-called socialist countries that came in and provided assistance for running the Algerian government. Algeria became known as the headquarters of the Third World struggle, etc., because of that. And in many ways, what you are doing is taking up some of that slack that the Cubans and others took up in a liberated Algeria, because they don't want us to have the capacity to even think about freedom. And if somebody whose education is limited to their own community, their own neighborhood, etc., it's hard for them to see a bigger world that we are bringing them as revolutionaries. The Algerian Revolution was a legitimate revolution, despite the fact that 90% of the people were illiterate. And those people who came in to work with Algeria from France and other places, they achieved their legitimacy as a part of that process. So that's what we're talking about today. You're going to hear a lot of stuff that comes from the deputy chair, extraordinary stuff, where we are actually constructing freedom at this moment. We're not waiting for freedom to come. We're not waiting, depending on just protesting Trump or anybody else. We are building freedom right now. And we have comrades, and it's our movement. You are part of that movement that's constructing freedom right now. And this is just an extraordinary moment in history, especially during this critical time now. And I want to thank you so much because it's all concrete. And I really appreciate that there are so many Russians who are on our side. And you've been hearing all these reports from Russians. You've been hearing the United States. We went to trial, and the prosecution said it was the Russians came up with the reparations demand. It was the Russians who started the thing against genocide. It was the Russians who were responsible for our politics. And you've just been hearing all these reports up to now from Russians. March against genocide. Struggle, for reparations and what have you. So I'm going to pass it on to my comrade Russian, my Russian comrades over here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Uhuru, let's give it up for Lana's Little Eats. That was an amazing lunch. Uhuru. Great. Now we are honored to have a workshop from the Office of the Deputy Chair. And not only is Deputy Chair a diehard leader, but she is the genius behind the Black Power Blueprint. She is the architect, she is the contractor, she is the transformer. And us as Uhuru Solidarity members work under her leadership. So now I would like to hand it off to Deputy Chair Onazane Yeshitela.
Uhuru, I'm so honored to be here today and just to be in 2025 here at the White Solidarity with Black Power Convention. Thank you. And I see so many people that I have not seen in like years. I see Wendy from California, Redbeard. Redbeard. I see Dylan and Indigo, which I see them a lot, even though they're from Ohio. I see so many of you who have traveled so far. Maz, who I haven't seen in forever. I'm so glad to see you. So many people that I haven't seen, but work with, on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, because like the chairman was saying, White Solidarity work under the leadership of the Office of the Deputy Chair. So I'm just so happy, Kara, Jamie, the voice, to see everybody here today. So I know we're behind time, so I just want to go ahead and move forward. First slide, I want to just really recognize Chairman Omali Ishitela, who is my leadership, who for the past 60 years have dedicated his life to overturning the social system so Africa and African people can be free in this lifetime and in his lifetime. We have to do this, comrades. So I just really want to salute you, Chairman, and just really give you a round of applause. I know you've been getting it all day. Next slide, I want to also recognize the African People's NCC, the National Central Committee of the African People's Socialist Party as well. All of our members. Next slide. I also want to salute APSC Chairwoman Penny Hess, who, everybody always says the first white woman to go into the white community and challenge white people to stand on the right side of African and Indigenous and people all around the world. So I want to salute Chairwoman Penny Hess. I also want to salute APSC Secretary General Allison Haney. Where are you at, Allie? Allison is, she works directly in the Office of the Deputy Chair, but she's the Secretary General of the African People's Solidarity Committee, which is the second in command. And I just really want to give her salutes because she's a powerful leader and organizer and has been doing this work for the past 45 years at least. So I just want to recognize Secretary General Allison Haney.
All right.
I want to salute the leadership of Comrade President Jesse Neville, who continues to fight on every front in the white communities all over the world. And alongside him is Vice President Amanda Carlosi. And finally, I want to give a big uhuru to all of APSC, NCC leaders, and USM members all over the world just joining this historic conference today. Next slide. So again, my name is Ona Zanea Shatella, and I am the Deputy Chair of the African People's Socialist Party, as well as the President of the African People's Education and Defense Fund, and Vice Chair of Black Star Industries. So I wear a lot of titles that goes along with a lot of economic work that you're going to see today. Next slide. So I just want to where is Maureen Wagner? I want to really salute Maureen Wagner, who is actually the director of Uhuru Foods and Pies. But this year, we made a strategic decision to move Maureen to the head of the Office of Reparation and Economic Development. This is already making a tremendous difference. Maureen's skills and knowledge in the area of grants, budgets, economic development, and strategic planning are contributing to the movement of our economic work, which has not been, in the forefront like it should be, but it's going to be now that she's leading that. But I want to also salute Kitty Riley. Where is Kitty? Uhuru, Kitty, stand up. Kitty Riley has been with me on the forefront since 2017, since I made the call. The chairman said, I need somebody here on the ground with me in St. Louis. Kitty Riley has been that person who has strategically helped build the Black Power blueprint here on the ground. And I just really want to salute all the work that Kitty is doing and the role that she's going to be playing. On tomorrow, you will see what's going to be revealed, and she's going to also be playing a major part in that development as well. So I'm looking forward to Kitty continuing working, on the forefront with the Office of the Deputy Chair and moving things forward. Uhuru. So I want to just introduce my team, of solidarity comrades who work directly under my leadership. And if you're here, I would like you to come forward. Maureen Wagner, Allison Haney, Janice Kent, who is in St. Petersburg, Florida, Kitty Riley, Raya is in Chicago. Ciali, is Ciali still here? Stephanie Mittler, come up, just line up right here, comrades. Stephanie Mittler, Ruby, and Janine is here from Oakland. So this is the team that represents the Office of the Deputy Chair that has many fronts that you're going to hear about today. So just want to salute you guys and thank you. Uhuru. And I will be remiss if I didn't say that the mighty, it used to have two mighties, but I've been putting mighty grants team, has been leading the charge in helping to develop economic and bring reparations into all these institutions. Chair Maureen Wagner, Janice Kent, who is the vice chair, Wendy Craig, I know Wendy is not here, but we salute you, Wendy. I know you're online looking. Leah, where's Leah? Leah Fifield, also. This makes up the mighty grants team that you're going to be hearing a lot about in the coming year. Next slide. So, Uhuru again, my name is Ona Zanea Shatella. I come from the richest continent in the world, which is Africa. Next slide. Yet everywhere you look around the world, my people, African people, are suffering under the most brutal condition of poverty, while white people enjoy access to wealth and opportunity. Next slide. In my homeland of Africa, there is an abundance of natural resources, gold, silver, platinum, rubber, coffee, and the list goes on and on. But our people have nothing. We own nothing, whether in South Africa or in North St. Louis. We are locked into this economy that feeds off of our blood, sweat, and tears to make trillions of dollars for someone else. We are forced to produce for others, but the world is changing. And as quietly as it's kept, we are the ones that's changing that world. As we struggle to overturn the parasitic economy, this relationship that we have with the social system and have had for the past 6 centuries, we are fighting to create our own self-government, our own liberated African nation, our own independent worldwide anti-colonial liberated economy, and African working class economy. So you ask, what is a liberated economic economy would look like? Well, over the next 2 days, you will see concrete things that we're doing right here on the ground to make that happen. So I knew from the start that when I actually joined the African People's Socialist Party that I wanted to be in the leadership capacity. I wanted to bring all of my skills into this movement that included, that I've learned from the petty bourgeoisie. I worked in human resources in the city of Pinellas Park, Florida for 20 years. So I knew I wanted to bring those skills to the party. So everything that I gained in governing, that I could transfer into the movement to build the capacity of our own communities, the African working class. The vehicle through which we build our own self-government is the African People's Socialist Party. So the first thing that came to mind when someone asks, what is a liberated economic economy? What would that look like? And for me, that was African people. I was saying, okay, we have to have the power to govern. The chairman talks about that all the time. And the power to govern is something that, I envisioned when I started to set up all these economic institutions for the party. Next slide. So our party, which is led by Chairman Omali Shatella, which is the political front, and the Office of Deputy Chair is the economic front, which I lead, and have developed the seeds for every aspect of a liberated economy of the African nation. Next slide. Our liberated economy will serve every aspect of our lives, not to feed the colonial mode of production and the colonizer, but the power to govern must mean that the colonized workers must learn the techniques, skills, and organization of governing with confidence, which transfer more and more power to the working class through the African People's Socialist Party and negates the colonial system by negating its capacity to govern our people who are being decolonized by the party's work. We will end the disparities and transfer all the conditions imposed on African and colonized people by colonialism and the colonial mode of production. And we cannot forget, and I certainly can't, as an African woman, we caught hell and fought every step of the way from slavery, where we were being raped by the slave masters, to working from can't see in the morning to can't see at night, and being abused on a day-to-day basis, picking cotton and taking care of white babies. Our vision is based on the economic ministry. That's what the party has developed through my office. The work we do now will be the model for a liberated economy of the African nation. The party builds international unity with all colonized and oppressed people. When Africa has access to all of our stolen resources and free to develop our own economy, the whole world economy can be liberated. We will reverse the colonial mode of production that was built on the backs of African and all colonized people of the world. The liberated African economic ministry will be organized under democratic centralism based on systems, policies, procedures, protocols, manuals, job descriptions, and trainings that the Office of the Deputy Chair has built. We are building the structures of a provisional government that empowers the African working class to govern and to build the socialist economy. So when we think about the party and what it's done and the congresses that we've had. So our first Congress was held in 1981, which was the New Beginning. The road to socialism was painted black. And our second Congress was in 1987. This time till it's won, the power of in our own hands. So the Congresses of the African People's Socialist Party is the place where we come together to plan and liberate future for our people under the leadership of the African working class that has given so much for our struggle historically, but has received so little in return. So our third Congress was held in 1990, and our fourth Congress was held in 1997. Our fifth Congress, the One People, One Party, One Destiny, was held in 2010. Our sixth Party Congress was held in 2013, an Uneasy Equilibrium. Our last Congress that we had back in 2018 was our seventh Congress, Vanguard. These skills and techniques have given us the capacity to governance, which includes our Constitution. So you can't govern unless you have a Constitution. So the African People's Socialist Party Constitution lays the foundation. The administration does not make policy. Policies is made at the Congress by the membership and developed by the chairman and the National Central Committee of the African People's Socialist Party. What the administration does is take the policy decisions that come from the Congress and the party's leadership and carry out their implementation. Preamble speaks to the history of our people and our organization. We have consolidated the legal name of the African People's Socialist Party and our relationship to the African Socialist International. Next slide. So we're not waiting until the revolution is completed to govern. We are exercising self-government as part of the process of making our revolution for total liberation and unification of Africa and our resources globally. And today at this conference, we are calling on white people to take a stand for reparations into the creation of this new economy that is fulfilling our vision for freedom for African and Africans and oppressed people all over the world. At this conference, we're asking and challenging the white community to take a principled stand in solidarity with African self-determination for reparations. So this is not charity. This is about truly repairing the damage caused over the past 600 years by a system built on slavery, genocide, colonialism. Real reparation means that you can show material solidarity and unity with this movement and for us to take back everything that belongs to us. Because we want it all back and we are taking it back, we are taking back our fundamental rights to wield power over our own lives so that never again will African families have to mourn the loss of their loved ones to brutal acts of colonial violence. We envision a world where Mike Brown would have made it home on August 9th in 2014. A world in which George Floyd would have been not stumped to death 1 year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago on the streets of Minneapolis. A world where Breonna Taylor would be alive today, happy and free to live without fear and insecurity. We assume you want that world too. But in order to make the world a reality, African people must have political and economic power over our own lives, Black power, self-determination. An end to colonialism and that dominates our lives and rips our communities apart and cuts short the lifespans of our sons, daughters, fathers, mothers, brothers, and sisters. We want freedom. Nothing short of total liberation will not do. Whether in Haiti, South Africa, or any place on the continent of Africa, Black people are being portrayed as poor, people who are helpless, buried in starvation and poverty, and constantly quoted as being rescued or pitied by the ones responsible for our oppression. Our oppressors, the colonizers, they have no resources of their own except what they steal from us and our people and our labor and our land. They steal from us and then they portray us as needing charity from them. There is something wrong with this reality. Rectifying this relationship and consolidating the independent Africa economy through African self-determination and winning reparation is the #1 goal. As Chairman Amalia Shatella says, Africa is not poor. Africa is being looted. We African people are not poor. Our system is looting us. Uhuru. So we are on a mission. We're at a point of no return, and at this time, we are asking you to join us on the road to a world where no oppression, where all human beings can live on the planet Earth itself and can be healed and repaired. Freedom for African people is a precondition to the emergence of genuine peace on the planet Earth. Excuse me. I want to show you today how the Uhuru movement and the African People's Socialist Party is going beyond protests, moving towards the capture of real power in the hands of the African community, and how by funding these projects and paying reparations into this movement, you can take part in repairing the damage, returning the stolen wealth, and funding the struggle for total liberation for African and African people inside the U.S. and around the world. Excuse me. So, although the Office of the Deputy Chair's goal back in 2017, when I first came here in St. Louis, was to build what we have and to make what we have productive, we could not pass up the opportunity to make the chairman's vision a reality as he defined in the political report, putting revolution back on the agenda again. That was to the APSP plenary in January of 2017. So this is when the Black Power Blueprint was birthed. Next slide. So right now at 4101 West Florissant, where you are sitting, we purchased this condemned building from a private owner in June of 2017. APDF invested $150,000 in renovation. We did this in a record 10 months. Me and Kitty, we were the contractors. We made it happen. There was no plumbing, no heat, no air, no electricity. The floors, there was no floors. And you'll see that in some of the pictures. We interviewed between 15 and 20 contractors during this whole process and began to build those relationships. Next slide. So here are some of the pics of the building before it was renovated. You can see like tuck pointing needed, the whole back of the building was a mess, and also the front. Next slide. And this is the front door that you came in. The yellow to the right is the front door that you came in, and the left, on my left, was the door to go upstairs. And here are some more pictures of what this whole building looked like inside when we took possession of it back in 2017. Next slide. And here are some more pictures. You know, to the left of me is where they had, this used to be a bar, you know, and they had like the bar on this side, and to the right is the bathrooms that they had allocated for the bathrooms. Next slide. And then this is the second floor where some of the renovation had started to take place. Next slide. This is the third floor. You know, this place was a hot mess. And then this is the picture of when we first got lights. And let me tell you, like, it was so, you wouldn't even just think that just getting the electricity was a big deal, but it was a big deal for us because we had worked through the summer in the heat without any AC. We were working in the wintertime without any heat. So to have these lights on, it was just amazing. Next slide. So this is where we hung our new awning. and also our new electrical sign. Next slide. And here are two of the young contractors that did the tuck pointing right here on this wall. Yeah, just this process was very rewarding and moving for myself. I had, I purchased my first home in St. Petersburg, Florida when I was 26 years old and went through the process of renovating it. But to be able to come here and see the conditions of this community and be here on the ground to make all of this happen, for me is very humbling. I appreciate the chairman so much for sending me here, to be here on the ground and to make all these projects happen. Next slide. So here it is, Kitty and I completed the renovations April of 2018, and this is where you are right now. So the second property that we obtained is right across the street at 4031 West Florissant. And we purchased this from the LRA. We combined 4 lots at 4031, 4033, and 4035 West Florissant. And also the cross street is Alice at 2150 in April of 2018. In May of 2018, we demolished those 2 buildings and completed the project in February of 2020. Next slide. So here we are preparing the ground, because when you demolish these properties, everything don't get tore away. Some of it get buried inside the ground. So we had to dig really, really deep to get the flag in. Next slide. So we installed a 50-foot flagpole and a 25-foot red, black, and green flag on the property next door. Next slide. So in that same venue, here's a drawing from the landscape architect that we hired, because we really wanted to make it a destination. So here's the landscape of that. And next slide. And here is some of the work that the contractors, created from that architectural plan. So we have a covered stage. We did decorative fencing, lighting, water. We installed pavers from an MSD rain grant that we got from the city, and we planted trees and native plants with a Bright Side St. Louis grant that we also got. Next slide. So we named this outdoor venue Karibu, which means freedom. Which means welcome. I'm sorry. So this is an outdoor venue where we can also rent both spaces, this space and the outdoor space, for birthday parties, anniversaries, weddings, you name it. We can have everything inside and out. Next slide. So at 4031 West Florissant, we also have the third party. We have the Gary Brooks Community Garden. Next slide. So Mr. Gary is the person who I met when I first came to St. Louis. He lived right in that building, and he was the one that helped, bring a extension cord from his building all the way here so we could have access to electricity. He would let us use the bathroom. He would cook for us in the morning times. He was there, so we named the garden after him. So he passed away this past November. And so his legacy will live on and on through our movement, Mr. Gary Brooks. Next slide. So, and here is some of the volunteer days that we had at the garden. Next slide. So in April, we'll be planting the Gary Brooks garden again. This will be our 7th season, I think, 6th or 7th season. I can't even keep up. We have 8 vegetable garden boxes. Flowers and trees bloom, and we have yellow apples, and peach trees will also bear fruit. Next slide. We will plant collard greens, greens and purple cabbage, herbs, teas, scallions, kale, Brussels sprouts, okra, tomatoes, bell peppers, and more. And we're going to be harvesting later this year. Next slide. So on this property as well, we have the One Africa, One Nation Farmers Market. We received a 3-year grant from the USDA to support the One Africa, One Nation Farmers Market to bring fresh food into our community on the north side of this St. Louis. Next slide. To combat food apartheid, we collected And we organized Black farmers and growers, and we also had youth farming programs. We held workshops and also backyard chicken gardens, and we're preparing healthy foods coming up for this year's season. And we also have vendors that will be able to have SNAP, the EBT program, that the state provide as well. Next slide. So ANWO, the African National Women's Organization, has taken over the One Africa, One Nation Farmers Market for their economic development. So this is one of the things that they do to bring resources into their institution. So we used to have the One Africa, One Nation market right outside of this building. Now, since ANWO has taken it over, we've moved right up the street to O'Fallon Park. Next slide. So on the side, we created this beautiful mural, and Mr. Gary, who I just spoke about, he's the one in the yellow hat. We made him like front and center of this mural because we wanted to really acknowledge him and appreciate him. And now that he's gone, his legacy will live forever. And Jamie, the artist who actually came from Birmingham, Alabama to put the mural up, she now lives here and she moved here to St. Louis with her 2 girls. So this is a beautiful thing. Yeah. Next slide. Next. So our 5th property is at 4029 West Florissant, and this is actually the place that Mr. Gary lived for most of his life until he got ill and his family put him into a nursing home. So we took possession of this amazing property on June 1st of last year. We have completely demoed the inside of it. We're working on the electricity now, and we're installing the panels for that to happen. Next slide. So Mr. Dependable and his crew came out and they demoed the whole inside. And I don't want to give everything away. This is just some of the small businesses that we hire within the community. Mr. Dependable, we also hire Mexicans for our contracting work as well. So this is what the inside looked like, and tomorrow on our tour you'll be seeing what we have done, and we'll also be unveiling a new program that we're going to be highlighting there as well. Next slide. So our next property is at 4007 to 4009 West Florissant. Next slide. So we purchased these properties in July of 2019 from the LRA. We demoed the condemned 2 buildings that you see in 2020 from a grant that we actually got from Clip Bar. Clip Bar that makes those bars. They came here and saw all the work that the Black Power Blueprint was doing, and they were blown away. So they gave us a grant through their organization, and we used $20,000 to invest in tearing these condemned building down. And that property is going to be used for a parking lot, because everything that we own on West Florissant, we have to have the ability to have parking, or the city will not let us move forward. Next slide. So our 7th property is at 4001 West Florissant. We also purchased this building from the LRA, which we got this building for $1,000. So we demoed this building. This may be the perfect place for the new Uhuru House. We still working on, how we're gonna maneuver everything. It's much larger. The interior is much bigger for us to have bigger crowds, more office space for our growing cadre and our community organizers. And this is also an exciting, because it may be that it frees the Uhuru House open so we can put the Uhuru Wakalia here. We just still, right now, we're in the still planning stages of how we're going to be maneuvering everything around. Next slide. So here are some of the before pictures of that particular building that we have completely cleared out. But the city has a policy of let it rot here in St. Louis. So this is how it looked on the inside. Next slide. Here are some more pictures of how it looked. It looks completely different. It'll be on the tour tomorrow. You'll be able to see what we've done so far. Next slide. So we have 3 videos, but I'm not going to play them for the sake of time. So like I said, we hire African contractors, and Mr. Dependable came, and they actually worked through the winter time to make this happen. Through rain, sleet, and storm, they came in and made it happen and cleared the total building out. Next slide. So the properties, 8, 9, and 10, which is at 3945 and 3943 and 3941 West Florissant. So we're continuing down West Florissant, and we purchased these properties, 1 from a tax sale and 2 from the LRA. So this is going to be the future home of the Black Power Square Retail Business and Development Center. We're looking for funding opportunities to begin this project from the ground up. Next slide. So it's going to cost us about $400 to build this from the ground up, but we're $400,000. So, you know, we're looking for funding opportunities right now. The Mighty Grant Teams is on the ground trying to really, you know, find the opportunities for us to really set up this Black Power Square. Next slide. So the vision is to have shipping container complex that will be affordable, move-in ready spaces to grow local businesses. The Black Power Blueprint so we met with an organization called Boxville out of Chicago, Illinois. We met with their steering committee, and this is actually the model that we want to use to make the Black Power Square happen. And we met with them, and they were just like blown away. They said, "We see everything that you're doing on the ground in St. Louis. You're our sister organization." We thought that, you know, they were going to be saying, "No, we don't want to, you know, connect with you," but they want to connect with us. So we're going to be reaching out to them again now that we have the land secured and move this project forward. And then the next property, number 11 at 4368 College, is the Black Power Vanguard's community basketball court. Yes. So this is what, before we put the court there, this is what was there. You know, 2 commercial buildings on that lot. We got these properties again from the LRA in January 2018. And the bricks started falling down because we hadn't planned to start this renovation for probably 2 years. But when the bricks, you know, started falling down, it became a dangerous hazard for the community. So we went ahead and start prioritizing that work and made it happen. Next slide. So we demolished those condemned buildings in May of 2019. Next slide. So this wasn't an easy project. As I stated, when you take down these buildings, underneath the ground is like raw, you know, stone and debris and all this stuff that we have to work through. But this is Jason Pye, who is our electrician and the master electrician that he works for as well. So we were getting ready to install the electrical wiring under the ground and start rebuilding the retaining wall on the right side. Next slide. So here is where we start pouring the concrete slab. It took 8.5 truckloads. This was a major construction project. Most people assumed that the court would just be a concrete slab of concrete, but it wasn't. Next slide. So, you see Chairman sitting, you know, he's there just overseeing the work. So this, the sport court material was installed. You see it in red going along there. Next slide. Again, Jamie came down for the one mural, and then we end up asking her could she do this mural? So here's the second Black Power Blueprint mural that we put along the 10-foot retaining wall next to the basketball court. Next slide. So here it is, completed. So we'll be taking a tour of the basketball court on tomorrow. We spent upward of $160,000 that we raised from donors and supporters and people like you, and just really made this project happen. You know, $1, $5, $10, whatever we could get. Everybody just chipped in and made this project a success. Next slide. And this was the grand opening of the basketball court. It was phenomenal. We had over 300 people come out, and the children came out and performed. We had just all kinds of speakers to come out for this celebration. Next slide. Okay, so right next to the basketball court at 4358 to 4360 is the housing for the African Independent Workforce Program. Next slide. So we purchased this fourplex from a local person here in St. Louis. Next slide. So APDF hired African contractors to completely renovate the fourplex. We had plumbers, roofers, electricians, HVACs, and fencing contractors. We had many volunteer work days to clear out the building and the yard to assemble furniture and decorate. This was definitely the house that Black built. Here are some of the before pictures. And again, we're gonna be on a tour, so I don't want to show you every single thing, but I'm just give you a little sneak peek. Next slide. Here are some more before and after pictures. And also just really wanted to appreciate Uhuru on the Uhuru Furniture and Collectibles in Philadelphia. We furnished all the apartments with beautiful pieces from Uhuru Furniture and Collectibles in Philadelphia. Allison Haney, our Secretary General, drove down 900 miles through mountains in a storm to bring this quality furniture. And in each apartment, we have one piece of our hand-painted Enzo furniture designs that we design for each apartment. Next slide. So, and I want to just really thank JD Chef Foundation. They provided a grant for all the appliances that you will see in the fourplex. Next slide. So the fourplex is named from Mafundi Richard Lake. Long live. Long live. He's a historic freedom fighter from Birmingham, Alabama, who spent much of his life in the notorious Alabama prison system and who initiated one of the most powerful organizations while in prison at the Atmore Harmon Prison. Mafundi also became the first national organizer for the African National Prison Organization, AMPO, was the first mass prison organization created by the Revolutionary Party, the African People's Socialist Party. Next slide. And this is his wife and his family. And in each apartment that we created, you will see pictures of his family throughout. His wife is Carolyn Lake. And we just really, really want to salute the Mafundi Lake Steering Committee, who also drove a bus down and helped us with the dedication. Next slide. So again, we named each apartment after a freedom fighter, African freedom fighter prisoners. Mafundi, Matula Shakur, Asada Shakur, Suriana Coley, and Desi Woods. This fourplex that APDS is inaugurating is part of our work to recognize and make a tribute to the 4 others of the hundreds that were intended to be removed from the memory of our people forever under the colonial powers. Next slide. So here is some more of the furniture that we actually have placed in those apartments. Next slide. So here's some of the after pictures of the apartments, and you'll get to see this live on tomorrow. Next slide. So the next land that we acquired was at 3771 West Florissant, and that was going to be the home of Uhuru Wakalia, which is the Women's Health Center. Next slide. So we purchased the land at this location for the Women's Health Center. Next slide. So Uhuru Wakalia means freedom to nurture. We've raised $230,000 for the health center already. So we're on the trajectory of raising the rest of the money. We have about $196,000 more that we have to raise, but this is a rendering of what the building would look like. Next slide. So we got a grant from the Missouri Department of Health, and so APDF held the African Doula Project last summer. Well, actually, on the same day that we got rated, July 29th of 2022, we were preparing that day for the doula project. They rated us at 5 a.m. in the morning, but we were still managed to have this program, and it's a success. And we had 14 African women graduate from that program. Next slide. So we have the architectural plans drawn up for the building to include a space for fitness and wellness programs, natural healing products, exam rooms, offices, entrepreneurship programs, and more. We're building this capacity to nurture, support, and cultivate healing and wellness skills that gives African women a life-producing opportunity to care for our bodies and our mental health. Next slide. Our property, number 14th at 3901 West Florissant. So APDF isn't stopping. This is a vacant lot where we're going to be putting a professional farm-to-table garden and greenhouses that will produce fresh fruits, vegetables, and herbs to the Uhuru Bakery Cafe. Yes. So this is going to be in conjunction with the Gary Brooks Community Garden as well. This is going to be a garden. We will be employing a master gardener, and we're also looking for other positions that we're going to be putting out to the world. As a matter of fact, I think we have just put out on the internet the positions that we need to run this this garden, which is a project director, a master gardener, an administrator, and also recruitment and promotions. So if you're interested in applying, you can just email me at info@apdf.com or call me at 314-380-8012. So our next property is 3719 West Florissant, which is the Uhuru Bakery and Cafe. Yes. So originally, next slide. So this is the original building we purchased for the cafe and bakery. This building is located not on West Florissant, but on Goodfellow and Natural Bridge. We decided to start smaller on West Florissant because we still needed to raise $1.2 million to get this larger facility open. So we purchased a smaller building on West Florissant to bring Uhuru Foods and Pies and the bakery to St. Louis on a smaller scale first. We have completely demoed the inside of the building. We are still raising the funds to move forward. And here's the building. Next slide. Here's the building right there. So it's been a year. January 26, 2024, we purchased this building. Next slide. So I know everybody, you've been hearing more about the struggle that we had with getting our permit. That took at least 9 months of our time. We won that battle. Yes. So on February 12th of this year, just a month ago, we went before the Board of Adjustment for the appeal hearing. Next slide. So the board voted unanimously to overturn the permit denial. Next slide. So in all, when we fight, we win. Next slide. So just to sum up, because this thing, like I said, was going on for 9 months. So I just really want to thank everybody. We had 110 plus supporters on the hearing. We had 25 people who spoke at the hearing. We had 330 plus supporters who signed letters, petitions, and wrote in letters. We created our own Northside Independent Neighborhood Association because they were trying to combat us with a neighborhood association that did not support, African self-determination. And also we had the St. Louis Business Coalition sign on and help us with this fight. We had politicians who wrote letters of support. We hired an attorney. The HOU signed on, the African People's Socialist Party, Agitprop signed on, NPDOM and USM. They all signed on, and we kicked their asses. That's all I have to say. We kicked their asses. So next slide. So this is not everybody. This is all that I could fit in to this presentation of all the people that were on that call that night to help us win this, to overturn this decision. Next slide. So the next properties are 16, 17, and 18th, and they're on Ferris Avenue. So going back to some of the great things that APDF and the Black Power Blueprint is doing, the most of you don't know is that APDF is working on a program to renovate a number of other properties. Major renovations are in process right now as we speak of 4 properties that APDF is going to transform into affordable housing for our community. So right now it's more affordable to rent than to buy in 50 of the major metro states. So we want to provide affordable housing to African people in this community. Next slide. So on Ferris, this was a complete gut. St. Louis have some of the most beautiful houses. I'm serious. They're all made of brick. So again, Mr. Dependable and his crew came out. Angel and his construction roofing company came out and put on a new roof. They just made it happen. Next slide. This is another house on Ferris. This house was in really excellent condition. We didn't need to put a new roof on. Do you see the beautiful hardwood floors are in excellent condition? So right now we're installing the electrical and the HVAC into this house, as well as the plumbing. Next slide. So on Harris, this is not complete gut yet, but we're working on it. This is Demetrius Jones, who has his own business. He is helping us to construct and reconstruct the flooring and lift the floor up to level it up, and installing the new stair walls. Next slide. So the city is blocking the Black Power Blueprint because they have a plan for the north side, and it's not meant to benefit us. The National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, which is a combat support agency that collects intelligence for the national security, aka a spy agency, has built a huge facility on the north side, and the plan has been to let the north side, the African community, rot so the city can gentrify it with the NGA employees. So that's why we're here, and that's why they're trying to stop everything that we're trying to do on this one corridor. Next slide. So the 19 and 20, we purchased 4919 and 4917 on Natural Bridge. One of them is the national headquarters for the African National Women's Organization, to my right and maybe your left. And then the new one is for the Black Power products, which is going to be a economic development institute of the African Independent Workforce Development Program. Next slide. So this property is 75% complete from total rehab. The seller, they left all the supplies, flooring, vanity, with the sale of the property. The new staircase, new floors, new walls, and basement has been framed out, and additional rooms. This property is perfect for our next venture, like I said. Next slide. So we will develop our Buy Black Power campaign with the distribution of Uzi, Enzo, and Ahura Planet products. We will buy from each other and sell to everyone. We will not just buy black, we will be buying Black Power. Next slide. This would include Enzo products, Uzis, Vanguard 7 lipstick, African flags, Red Stars, berets, Burning Spear publications, the Burning Spear newspaper, Decolonize products, and more. Next slide. So look at the beautiful Enzo products that's going to be there. We're going to have the crocheting by All Power Production Creation, which is Cialis products, and so much more. Of course, tied to all of this development are the two most important things, is the people. Let me say that again, it's the people. The Black Power Blueprint built relationships with our first student group from Washington University who came in force to volunteer at our garden. So these are just some of the people that we have consolidated here in St. Louis, and so many more. Next slide. And we'll be having our moving on. We'll be bringing Ahura on the Move, our moving company, to St. Louis that will be tied directly to our workforce development program that you will hear, more about later. Next slide. We will move our association, ANIBA, the African National Independent Business Association from St. Petersburg to St. Louis with a tagline, Developing Economic and Self-Determination. And the mission is to transfer business skills and experience to existing and or aspiring Black entrepreneurs that is designed to enhance our community's capacity for achieving economic self-reliance in our struggle for Black national liberation under the leadership of the African working class. ANIBA will work with other organizations nationally and internationally. So next slide. So we will continue to be the voice of Black St. Louis Speak newspaper, informing the community of what's happening in the community so everybody can be involved in making it happen. To add to various ways that we can speak to the people, we were able to snag this amazing billboard on one of the busiest corridors in St. Louis. Yes. And that's on Page Avenue, which is a really huge corridor. So we want to begin advertising, this year. So this is huge. So we'll be able to project anything that's going on in the community on Page Avenue. Next slide. So the 22nd property is at 2654 Gravois Avenue, the Uhuru Solidarity Center. Unity 2? So we purchased this from a private owner in September of 2021. So this is the home of Uhuru Planet at the moment. So they manufacture all the t-shirts and other products there. And also it's the home of the African People's Solidarity Committee, where Chairwoman Penny is there. Her office is there as well. Next slide. So I just want to close. We're kicking the ass of the ruling class.
Vanguard up.
Vanguard up.
All right.
No, you can just take it off.
Okay.
I don't know who's in charge.
All right. Uhuru, let's hear from Deputy Chair. Hey, Uhuru, thank you to the Office of Deputy Chair for that profound workshop, building the anti-colonial economy of the African working class. So much to be excited about. I want to now invite up, thank you. I want to now invite up comrades Leah and Len to make a call for material solidarity. Unity through liberation. Uhuru.
All right. Let's give another round of applause to Deputy Chair. That was amazing. I mean, mind-boggling the amount of work that has been happening. It's really exciting to be at ground zero, the Black Power Blueprint, where all of this, really fundamental concrete change is happening. So we are here to invite every single person in this room and online to be part of that change. We are going to be doing, let me just grab my notes here because, oops, sorry. The chairman was saying such profound stuff earlier. I just want to echo, this is not an abstract struggle. Yes. This is a concrete struggle. This is about building a new reality. And that's happening here. We are here to witness this right now. And it's such an honor and a privilege to be able to be a part of it. So we're going to take concrete action right now, which means raising reparations, which means, really committing to the support that it takes to build this new reality. So let's do it. Unity through reparations. Yes. All right. So again, want to salute that really profound presentation by Deputy Chair. Just gonna move things a little bit here. Let's see. Thank you. All right. All right, so the Black Power Blueprint, this is the template for anti-colonial community revitalization that can be replicated across the country, but we need it to be built here first. It's being built. Before it can be replicated, we need to make sure that we are investing in what is happening right here, right now. So this is the unveiling of a bright anti-colonial future through concrete, brick-by-brick efforts that are being led by the extraordinary and steadfast work of our Deputy Chair, Onizane Yeshitela, and the party. So a round of applause again for Deputy Chair. All right, so today, we're gonna go to the next slide. Today, we have a goal to raise a minimum of $20,000 in reparations for Black Star Industries. And this is our commitment as white people who for hundreds of years have lived our lives at the expense of African, Indigenous, and colonized people. Today we have a chance to return resources that rightfully belong in the African community. We have a chance to engage in the process of repair. We have a chance to invest in an anti-colonial future that is based on peace, justice, and self-determination. And also to speak to the point earlier about despair. We have a chance to actually confront our own despair. If we are feeling despair in this moment, what good is that going to do if we sit there and wallow in it? The only good that is going to come out of that is if we take concrete action. So this is about taking that action today. This is about raising reparations. So our goal is $20,000, but we don't want to limit anybody to that. We can go above that. That's no problem. We can do $25,000. We can do $30,000. We can do $50,000, whatever. We can, let's raise the limit on whatever it could be. This is our collective pledge as part of the USM Convention. This is our commitment to building an anti-colonial future. So I want to hear from all of you. Are we going to be able to do this today? Let's say unity through reparations. Yes, unity through reparations. Uhuru.
Uhuru, yes, let's do it. Woo! So, solidarity is more than just well-wishing, as Che Guevara has said. It's sharing the same fate, whether in victory or in death. And material solidarity with the African Revolution, this is how we contribute to the future of genuine peace and justice. And, you are all here in this room because you want to be a part of changing the world. You don't want to live in the world the way that it is. And this is something that we can do together. And this is our stand of reparations. This is what genuine solidarity looks like. And this is how we honor the courageous struggle of the Uhuru Three. This is how we honor the courageous struggle of the Uhuru Bakery and Cafe. This is what it means to contribute reparations to African people.
Yes. All right, so we've got basket passers in the back. Jan and Mads. Back there, woo! All right, they're gonna go around with pledge cards and pens. So please fill out your cards legibly with all of your information. You can hold it up when you're done and the basket passers will come back and pick those up from you. Cash or checks can go in the envelope. You can make checks out to Uhuru, UHURU, or you can go online right now to uhurusolidarity.org/pay-reparations, and you can either make a one-time payment or you can become a sustaining member and have monthly reparations payments made. So if you want to mail in your payment, you can send it to 2654 Gravois Avenue, St. Louis, Missouri 63118. And if anybody needs any support with making their payments, you can visit in the back at the Uhuru Planet table. There's Amanda and Hallie, and they will be happy to assist you.
Yes. So before we kick off this fundraising appeal here, we just really want to start by thanking so deeply our leadership and all the speakers that are here today. We want to thank everybody with some special gifts. So first, we want to really, really appreciate you, Chairman Omali Yeshitela. We have some photos that we would like to present to you in these beautiful frames here. So this is for you, Chairman. Uhuru. It's the victory.
Yeah, it's a great photo.
A moment
Thank
to
you.
be remembered. Uhuru.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Uhuru. And of course, we would love to salute you, Deputy Chair Onozine Yeshitela, for your steadfast leadership. We present you this amazing photo as well. Oh, next slide. Okay, very good. All right, and Chairwoman Penny, we would love to salute you with this beautiful photo of such a victorious moment, a moment to be remembered, and now you can always remember it. Uhuru. And Chair Jesse, we have something that we would like to present to you as well. Yeah, this amazing, this amazing moment in the next slide. Here we go. Yeah, Chair Jesse. Such a great moment. Look, capture. That's for you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Uhuru. And then for Vice Chair Amanda, we also have something for you, but I see you're all the way back there doing the calculations. But we have this awesome drawing that Comrade Hallie sketched in the courtroom of you and Jesse. So that's framed for you. And ANWO President Yejide Ormila, she's not here with us in person right now, but we really, really want to salute President Yejide for all the amazing work that she leads in the African National Women's Organization. And we have this awesome photo of her, really, really powerful, in the same African style frame. And let's see, Comrade Afia, in the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Committee. Afida, you've been there every step of the way, and we would love to present to you this awesome moment as well. Very powerful photo. And Comrade Nancy M., who is fighting courageously with the Palestinians. We stand in unconditional solidarity with the Palestinian people and their self-determination, and we will present this photo to Nancy, who hopefully is online right now, and we'll be sending this to you in the mail. Really salute you, comrade. Appreciate you speaking. And then next slide here. Of course, we want to send a huge thank you to all of you in Aquaba Hall right now, and all of you that are tuning in on Zoom. And we just really want to also extend a special invite to all of the people who bought a Sponsor a Comrade ticket that helped fund so many people that weren't able to afford to actually pay for the ticket, but wanted to be here and wanted to be in community and camaraderie with us. And they were able to attend the convention because of all of you. So that would be Susan, Redbeard, Kara, James, Sarah, Lisa D, Janet, Virginia, Ruth, Nate, Blaze, Cam, all of you, thank you so much for making sure that everyone who wanted to be here to support white solidarity with Black Power was able to do so. Awesome. And next slide. Yep, this is good. So all of the reparations that we raised today are going to the African People's Socialist Party's economic component, which is Black Star Industries, and that brings all the economic development institutions of the party under one single umbrella. Next slide. And Black Star Industries is building an economy for and between African people worldwide, and this is concrete. This will make it possible. The funds that we contribute today will make it possible for Black Star Industries to expand. I mean, you saw all of those slides that Deputy Chair just showed. There's so much work that has to be done. And this is part of building power in the hands of the African working class, and we have to do our part by being in material solidarity. And Black Star Industries includes all of these amazing programs here. The One Africa, One Nation farmers markets, the Black Power Blueprint, Decolonize Hair and Body, the Burning Spear Media, Uhuru Foods and Pies, Uhuru Planet Revolutionary, Reparations Apparel. And these all of these programs constitute the foundation of an African liberated anti-colonial economy. And these institutions are working to supply for every African person. And this is a way to build dual and contending power by putting your colonial resources into the anti-colonial economy. And in response to Trump's attacks on the DEI programs, there are all these calls to, boycott Target, boycott Walmart, et cetera. And putting your money into these programs, this is going beyond just boycotting. This is putting resources into anti-colonial African economy. So we say, don't just boycott, but buy Black Power.
Right.
And Jesse, I just want to call you up for this.
Uhuru. I just want to salute again. That was an absolutely phenomenal presentation by Deputy Chair Ona Zane Yeshitela Uhuru. And it was phenomenal because it is a reflection of incredible work that Deputy Chair leads that is a concrete translation of the vision and the theory of African internationalism in the real world. And this is the future. This is the future for all humanity. This is the anti-colonial economy. This is the reparations economy. This is our opportunity to be a part of changing the world. And I just wanted to say that if anyone, I assume that there are people in this room and online who like me, actually feel uncomfortable with the goal of $20,000. Not because it is too high, but because it is way too low. It is ultimately a drop in the ocean of what is owed to African people, the vast, unquantifiable wealth, resources, culture, life itself that has been stolen from African people for hundreds of years. So let's make this 20,000 happen and beyond. And if there is one person in this room or online, or two, or three, or more, who can go ahead and put in $20,000, we will not sit down and end our appeal. We will continue going. But we know that there are people out there, and maybe in here, who can take that stand. And we had a day of reparations to African people last October, right after the trial of the Uhuru 3. Our goal was $25,000, I believe it was. The chairman stood up and made a statement and said, yeah, $25,000, but one person could put in that $25,000. And one person did that day, on that day in October. We salute that incredible anonymous donor who made that contribution. So we want to just make that call and say that this is not charity, this is solidarity. And if you go to the next slide, Chairwoman Penny's words earlier really, really struck me when she said that we can't get to Palestine by walking over the bodies and the struggle of African people right here. We get to Palestine through solidarity with African people inside this country. This puts us in objective unity, in deep unity with the rest of humanity. The stand of reparations is not a payoff, it's not charity, and it's not a punishment. It is our liberation as well. It is our liberation from that despair, from that self-hatred, from being a colonizer, from being separate from the rest of humanity, which we did to ourselves. And we are not going to lead the way out of it. African people are leading the way out. They're leading the way forward, and we get to be a part of it. So it is not a punishment, it is an opportunity to be a part of the future and to be a part of the rest of humanity, from North St. Louis to occupied Palestine to the indigenous people right here in this country. We become linked in the most powerful and intimate relationship of principled solidarity when we take this stand of reparations. So that is what it means to go to uhurusolidarity.org/pay-reparations, or if it's easier, just go to uhurusolidarity.org, click that big red button that says pay reparations. You notice it doesn't say donate, it says pay reparations. Fill out your pledge card. Let's make this happen, comrades. I have so much confidence in this amazing group of incredible comrades in this room and on Zoom that we can make this goal, we can surpass this goal, and make reparations a reality today. Uhuru.
All right, yes. So just to reiterate, we are going to raise a minimum of $20,000 today in reparations for Black Star Industries. And this is the bare minimum. I am confident that we can do this as a collective. You know, I am sick of this violent nature of this social system. I'm sure you are sick of the violent nature of this social system, and you want to do something concrete to change it. So this is what we can do. We can pay into a different social system, you know? Yeah. This is our chance to engage in the process of repair, and we have a chance to invest in an anti-colonial future that does not replicate the the same kind of colonial oppression and destruction and despair. We need to build something different. We need to support the people that are building something different. So if you want to make a donation today, we invite you to come up to the mic and share why you are making a donation, why you're taking the stance of solidarity, what it means to you. Or you can, of course, donate anonymously. That is no problem at all. You can go to uhurusolidarity.org/pay-reparations. And yeah, let's do this. Let's get down to it.
Whew. Yeah, so I just want to announce, and this is really exciting, on the next slide, we have a matching fund from an anonymous donor. So we want to put this out there. Is there anybody that wants to match our donor to get us halfway there? Just go ahead and put in $5,000. Let's get to $10,000 already. We'll be halfway there. And so I just want to say that every dollar that you give right now will be doubled up to $5,000. So, this is really important, and this is your opportunity. I just want to say, is there anybody that can put in or that wants to put in $5,000? You can raise your hand. You can type it in on the Zoom. You can also email info@uhurusolidarity.org, or you can just go to uhurusolidarity.org and click that big red Pay Reparations button. All right. Leah?
Okay.
All right.
So everyone should have a pledge card at this point. Please fill out that card legibly. Hold it up when you're done so that the basket passers can take it from you. And and if you need assistance making your payment, you can see Amanda and Hallie in the back. They are happy to assist you. All right, and I have more information. Next slide. Throughout this presentation and convention, we want each of you to ask ourselves, what will my legacy be? Your legacy can be that of reparations and liberation by becoming a Reparations Legacy Project donor. The Reparations Legacy Project organizes white people with access to financial wealth to take a stand in repairing the damage of slavery and economic injustice through the redistribution of resources towards the Black self-determination programs of the Uhuru movement. So we in the white community, we have access to this social wealth. We have access to a lot. There may be one or maybe many people here in the room or on Zoom that have the ability to contribute $20,000 or more. And we know that this can happen because, as shared earlier, it has happened before, so let's do this again. So today, you can become an RLP donor by contributing $20,000 or more, which will make you a Chairman Omali Yeshitela level donor. So I want to put it out there right now. Anybody online or in the room, $20,000. If you're able to make that donation right now, I'd love to have you come up and share why you're making that donation with us, or you can do it anonymously. Anybody. Okay, let's keep it going.
All right. And I just want to say there was something that Chair Jesse said to us like yesterday or a couple days ago that, you're sitting in the silence of waiting to see, is anybody going to raise their hand and say, I'm going to contribute $20,000. And everyone's really uncomfortable, but we sit in that silence because there's a lot of powerful thinking going on in that silence. Like Chair Jesse said earlier, that last year there was this really uncomfortable silence for like what felt like a few minutes. It was probably only a couple seconds, but then somebody in that silence was like, their brain was turning, and then they raised, then they like went online and they contributed $25,000. So a lot of powerful things happened in that silence. So just wanted to say that. Thank you. So, for those who do donate $20,000 or more, you will receive this really, really wonderful personalized thank you. And that includes a personal tour of the ever-expanding programs and projects of the Black Power Blueprint. And then you get to also have a lovely dinner with Chairman Omali Yeshitela and Deputy Chair Onozine Yeshitela. And this is an extraordinary opportunity to spend time with two amazing historic revolutionaries who are building an anti-colonial future through theory and through practice. And again, I'm just going to put it out there. Is there anybody in this room or on the Zoom room that wants to put in $20,000? You can go ahead and raise your hand. You can let us know in the chat. You can email info@uhurusolidarity.org. You can email us anonymously. So again, here's that silence. I'm going to let everyone think about it for a few seconds. All right. Well, we did have some people answer the call, and I just want to shout out some of these comrades. Wendy C. has given $200. We have Comrade Johan, who has given $500. Virginia gave $50. Becky gave $50. Ann H. $300. Susan M. $25. Carrie $40. Casey $20. Rainey $25. Brendan $10. Kristen F. $70. Melissa $25. Kitty became a Che Guevara sustaining member at $120 a year. So salute Kitty. Comrade Angelica $100. Jan became an Ella Baker sustainer by contributing $1,200 for the year. That's amazing. All right, so we have some more names here, but I kind of want to just go through a couple more slides, and then we'll continue reading some of the names. So let's continue on.
So
All right,
next slide. Yes. All right, so for those who contribute $10,000 in reparations, you will receive this Buy Black Power gift basket that includes a beautiful hand-woven African basket, Buy Black Power products, including Decolonize hair and body products from the African National Women's Organization. You will receive apparel from Uhuru Planet Reparations Apparel. You will receive an RLP drinking glass, not pictured here, but you will receive one. And best of all, you will receive an Uhuru Foods and Pies chocolate bourbon pecan pie baked specially for you. So if there are 2 people who contribute this amount today, we will have met our goal, which I know that we're going to do. We're going to meet our goal today. And again, we have that matching fund, so any dollar that you put in automatically is doubled up to $5,000, which is really great. Go to uhurusolidarity.org/pay-reparations to make your contribution right now. Uhuru.
Okay, and I see that we just got another donation, and this is $500 from Chairwoman Penny Hess. Chairwoman Penny. Awesome. All right, and we have a lot of others here. Wow, this is going quick. We have Comrade Stephanie, who gave $100 plus. She's increasing her monthly sustaining membership. Stephanie. Woo! Comrade Jackson, who was in St. Louis but is now in San Diego, $5. Uhuru Jackson. In the room with us, we have Comrade Maureen, who's given $250. Uhuru Maureen. And Comrade Mads, $200. Uhuru Mads. All right, Comrade John M. has given $40. Thank you, John. And then our very own Blaze Bailey became a Che Guevara sustainer at $120 for the year. Uhuru. All right, and Comrade Janet, $500. Uhuru, Janet. Woo! Do you want to read some of these?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
I'd love to read some names. All right. So, oh my gosh. Okay, I get to, wow. Kara, $1,000. Wow. Amazing. We have Allie with $300. Ooh. Charles with $25. Yes.
Charles.
Yes. Redbeard, $750.
Wow.
Yes. We have Wendy Snyder, our amazing outreach coordinator, $100. Yes. And Ron is giving $100 as well.
All right, Ron.
And I don't know if this is a duplicate.
No, yeah, it's a duplicate, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right. And then just to keep going, because the donations keep coming in, Peter, $60. Uhuru. Yes, thank you so much. Paul, $150. Uhuru, Paul. Thank you so much. We wish you were here.
You do.
Opa, $60. And an anonymous donation for $40. Thank you, Anonymous. Thank you so much. Okay.
So at that
So, yep.
go ahead.
Okay. Total right now $7,115. So this means we have unlocked the matching fund, which is incredible. Woo! So yes. Wow. Okay. So that
Yeah, so I think that, So I think that means we're at, with the matching fund, 12,115. Woo!
Hey! So great.
Right.
Okay. So maybe let's go through some more
Yeah,
slides.
let's do it.
Okay. Sorry, did you do?
Oh, okay. No, I think we did this one, right? No, maybe not. Okay. All right. So for contributing $5,000 and above, you will receive another version of this awesome Buy Black Power gift basket. And this will include the gorgeous handmade African basket, some decadent decolonized body care products, handmade by President Yejide Orunmila, and some fashionable apparel from Uhuru Planet Reparations Apparel. So if 4 people, well, at this point, oh my gosh, I'm going to be bad at math right now. If 2 people even put in $5,000, we will have not only met but exceeded our goal. So who can put in $5,000? All right, let's keep going.
All right. All right, so our next giving level, our give back, for your contribution of $2,500, you will receive this collection of historic images of Chairman Omali Yeshitela in a 5x7 spinning frame. So not just one picture, but 2. The first image is the chairman and supporters during the Jomo years. And the second image is the chairman and supporters 60 years later on the steps of the Tampa Federal Courthouse after the victory of the Uhuru 3. So victory after victory after victory. These images are a great reminder of your stance of solidarity with reparations and African self-determination. They are a reminder that when we fight, we win. So who in this room is ready to contribute $2,500? You can raise your hand, you can make a pledge in the Zoom, you can remain anonymous. You're always welcome to come up and share why you're making your pledge today.
Yeah.
So we've run through that matching fund, which is really exciting. You there now?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to read off more names because the donations keep coming. So Frank Lang, $5. Frank. Thank you so much. Yes. Our very own Lisa gave $500. Yes. All right. Ruby, who's in the room with us, $250. Ruby. And Jamie, our veritable MC, our great MC, $25. Joshua S, $50. And Janine in the room with us, $100. Yeah. So total so far is $13,045.
Awesome.
Just under $7,000 away.
All right.
All right.
Okay, so for those who are going to contribute or have already contributed $1,000 and above, you are going to receive 2 of these historical African People's Socialist Party posters. One is a beautiful image from the party's second Congress's political report, and the other is this image of from the historic Free Desi Woods campaign. And both of these posters are 11x17 and are laminated and ready for display. So these are really, really awesome. uhurusolidarity.org/pay-reparations.
Uhuru. Yeah, you know what? And I actually would love to share a little bit about why I want to make a contribution today. And it's the same thing that's been talked about. It's that despair. It's that deep well of despair and frustration that rises out of that when we look out at this social system that is so inherently violent and feel helpless to do anything about it. And so I don't want to wallow in that despair. I want to be part of something that is truly creating a difference. I want to put all of my efforts into that. And so today I want to give $2,000. So I'm very, very honored to be able to take this money that I have so much access to resources and to financial funds. I want to take that money and I want to invest it in the true future. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm looking forward to my posters, my give backs for that. So
Yes.
Okay. And when you contribute $250, yes, uhuru.
Going back to the 1,000 really quick. I just want to salute Comrade Leah. Let's give a round of applause for Leah and Len. And just want to say that in solidarity with the struggle for freedom for African and all oppressed peoples in Chairman Omali Yeshitela's lifetime, Comrade Amanda and I will be contributing a total of $1,000 to the appeal today. And I believe that brings us to $16,480. Wow. So we are so close. Wow. And if just 4 people match that 1,000 that Kara and others have put in so far, go ahead and contribute $1,000 if you can. If just 4 people do that, we can meet and continue to exceed our goal. So Uhuru, let's make this happen. We're almost there. Let's keep going.
All right. Yes, uhuru. So let's go back to the next slide. Okay, great. So when you contribute $250, you will receive this 11x17 free Desi Woods laminated poster. This is from the historic campaign the African People's Socialist Party took on to free Desi Woods, an African woman who was imprisoned for fighting back against her white attacker. And again, in this struggle, the African working class fought and won. Yes. So be like the African working class, fight and win, and invest in the anti-colonial future.
Yes.
Uhuru. Go to Uhuru Solidarity.
Oh, wait, Redbeard's hand is up.
Redbeard. Okay. Can't wait.
Redbeard is coming to the mic.
Coming to the mic, Redbeard.
Well, I'd like to contribute another $250 because that's how I got into the Uhuru movement, through the July 4th movement to free Desi Woods. There you go. I was recruited by Hiba Sheshe and Aziza, and that's how I met the chairman, APSC, later on DC ONA, and that was a life changer for myself and my family as well. And I was saying to Phil earlier that I'm just a working class guy, and the consistency of the chairman, the party's line, has really kept me here. I thrive on consistency. And also, I really depend on the chairman always being nice to me and liking me.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Dying but not yet dead.
Yes.
Not yet Uhuru.
Not yet, Uhuru. Uhuru. Thank you, Redbeard. Really salute you. And I just want to shout out a couple other donations we have received. Comrade James Anila with $100. Uhuru, James. Our camera operator. Comrade Dylan with $75. Uhuru, Dylan. Comrade Indigo with $100. Uhuru, Indigo. And Comrade Ruth from visiting us from Fayetteville, Arkansas, $50 plus increasing her monthly sustainership to $25 a month. Awesome. And Comrade Diane in Gainesville, $10. Uhuru, Diane. And then let's see, we have Comrade Brendan is giving an additional $40. Uhuru, Brendan. And Comrade Jacoya, $100. And let's see. So, and then Comrade Sandy has given $25. Uhuru, Sandy. And Comrade Sarah, our NTU volunteer coordinator, $100. Uhuru. All right. So I don't know what our new total is. Oh, there it is. It is $16,955 we've raised so far. We have $3,045 left. Let's totally do that. We can do that. Uhuru. Salute everybody so far. Okay, this is me again. And so for all of our donors, that includes everybody that has registered to attend the convention. You are all going to get this really awesome, not one day, not one dime postcard of, framed, really historic moment that you can have as a keepsake. And, we just thank you all so much. And we also want to just thank everybody that sponsored a Comrade. You're going to get one of these as well. And salute to all of you. Uhuru. And so I just want to say on the next slide here, the most powerful way that you can make a commitment to reparations is by becoming a member of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, a card-carrying member that has your name on it that you can proudly carry around with you. And, you can become a member today. And I just want to remind everybody that, our goal is to get to 1,000 members by the end of 2025. And, that's 1,000 people, 1,000 white people who say no more genocide in my name. And you can become one of those 1,000 members by going to uhurusolidarity.org/join. And if you're not yet a member, really, really encourage you to become a member today and get involved in building white solidarity with Black Power. And we look forward to, working with you to make that happen in your community. Uhuru. All right.
So, let's see. Our total is.
Oh, we got a couple.
We got a couple more.
From Janice on.
Okay. So, great. All right. So, very exciting contribution from Janice in St. Petersburg, Florida, $500.
All right, Janice.
Yeah. All right. So this means remaining we have $2,545 left. Wow. So I want to say. I want to contribute another $500 and I want to see who can match me.
Wow.
I know that there's somebody that can match me. So out there in Zoom land or here in the room, somebody is going to be able to match that $500. Let's see how much closer that'll get us. Oh, so Trish is Dylan's grandmother and is contributing $75. All
right,
Trish. Beautiful. We are so thankful for that. So remaining, I don't know if this includes the $500 that I just. Nope. So we're just waiting.
$18,030.
Oh, $18,030.
That's how much we've raised.
That's how much we've raised.
Less than 2,000 to go.
Less than 2,000 to go. Yes. Remaining is $1,970. Uhuru.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Tara Jesse, do you want to come up and say anything else?
Well, this is really, really powerful, comrades, and we want to continue to contribute. Anybody who can match Leah, she threw down the gauntlet and said she's putting in an additional $500 on top of contributing $2,000. So anybody who can help to pick up the slack, be like Leah, who just is an exemplar of reparations to African people. We have a hand in the, yes. Uhuru Jan. We have a match. Is that a match? Be like Jan. Be like Jan. Wow. And be like Comrade Janice, who is doing another 500. Uhuru Janice. Be like Janice. Be like Jan. Be like Leah. Be like Chairwoman Penny has. If you can match $500, go to uhurusolidarity.org/pay-rep. My phone is lighting up over there. What's going on? Okay. And shout out to our calculator, Comrade Amanda in the back, and Hallie. Yes. I can hear the click-clacking from all the way up here. So we have only 970 left. Is that including Jan? Yes. Okay. Only 970.
Wow.
That's 97 people doing $10. That's one person doing 900. We got $50 more from Comrade Mad. 920 left to go to meet $20,000 in concrete material solidarity with African self-determination. We saw that incredible presentation that Deputy Chair presented. Think about what this movement, what the leadership of the African working class does with even just $1,000. See the properties that have been acquired, the incredible development. This building where you could fall through the floor at one point, I know that from personal experience, is now, we barely have to do any decoration when we hold an event here because it is so beautiful. It is the artistry, the genius of the African working class. And that's what we have an opportunity to support. We have from Amanda doing an additional $100. Uhuru, Amanda.
Amanda.
So we've only got 820 left to go as we wind down this portion of the program. We don't want to keep people too long, so go ahead and contribute what you can, and let's make this goal, let's make this happen. We have another incredible panel coming up, but before we end this section, I want to just turn it back over to Leah and Len. Anything else that you all want to say?
Yeah.
Uhuru.
Uhuru. All right. Well, maybe you are still mulling over what you are able to give, which is totally fine, but you can go to uhurusolidarity.org/pay-reparations at any time and contribute what you can, whether it's $5, whether it's $500, it all is important because it's all an investment in an anti-colonial future, and that's what we're here to do. So I really, really, really want to salute everybody who gave today, everybody who is in attendance here today, everybody that is online today. You are all part of building this future, and we're so thankful for you. Thank you so much. And Ruby has
820.
I'll do it. Me and Chairman do it.
Wow.
whoa.
Wait,
What?
and we have a hand in the audience here.
Yeah.
I was gonna do 250.
Yeah.
Ruby, 250.
Ruby is 250.
Salute to Chairman Omali Shatala and Deputy Chair Otis and A.S. Shatala. Salute to Comrade Ruby. Right. We met our goal of $20,000. Unity crew.
All right. And,
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you everybody so much. We really appreciate you, and Deputy Chair and Chairman, we deeply appreciate you. And I just want to say we are going to celebrate all of you and all of the work that we've been doing later this evening. So at 5:30, we're going to be having a Culture of Reparations Awards Night, where there's going to be some talented performers and music and awards and stuff. So I just want to remind everyone that around dinner, stick around for an hour or two and celebrate with us. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Unity through reparations. Wow, that was incredible. Can you just give yourselves a hand of applause because you did this. We raised our 20K and we want to keep it going. So this next part of our program is we have this exciting panel, and it's called The Anti-Colonial Struggle is the Driving Force of History. Victory to African, Indigenous, and Palestinian people. Comrade Raphael will be our moderator, and each speaker will have 15 minutes before a question and answer discussion.
Uhuru. Thank you. So, I just want to welcome and salute Comrade Raphael. Uhuru. And before turning it over to Raphael, I just wanted to quickly salute and appreciate the speakers that are about to join us on stage for this panel. First of all, we want to recognize she wasn't able to be with us tonight for this event, but we wanted to appreciate Nancy M., who is a Palestinian freedom fighter who was born in the UK and moved to New York City in 2002 and co-founded Existence is Resistance. And today she is the executive director of Eyewitness Palestine, and has also played a really important role in standing with the Uhuru movement in the Hands Off Uhuru fight back. So We're sorry that we weren't able to have Nancy on, but we just want to salute Comrade Nancy. Uhuru. We're also going to be joined on Zoom by Yejide Oranmila, and president of the African National Women's Organization and a member of the Central Committee of the African People's Socialist Party, and just a brilliant and powerful leader in the African Revolution. She has traveled all around the world building the African Revolution, recruiting all African people, and in particular, addressing the oppression faced by African women under the colonial domination of African people. And we are very honored to have, joining us for this panel, Yejide Oranmila, President Yejide. Uhuru. We're also very honored to be able to bring back up here the chairwoman of the African People's Solidarity Committee, Chairwoman Penny Hess, who has been in the struggle for almost 50 years, working under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, building white solidarity with black power, and also the author of the incredible and essential book, Overturning the Culture of Violence. Uhuru, Chairwoman Penny. And last but definitely not least, I just want to say how incredibly honored and excited we are to have joining us here in person, right here in St. Louis, Efia Nwangaza, who is, yes, Uhuru. Who is a veteran of the Black Revolution of the 1960s, a veteran leader of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, the executive director at the Malcolm X Center for Self-Determination and WMXP Community Radio, a revolutionary attorney, and an incredible African revolutionary freedom fighter who, as has been stated, has been in the struggle for many years and was very present in a powerful, very powerful way throughout the entire Hands Off Uhuru anti-colonial fight back. The victory on that day was, among others, a victory made possible by Efia Nwangaza Uhuru. So as we welcome our guests to the stage, I will be turning it over to Comrade Raphael to kick off the panel. Oh yes, Uhuru Chairman.
Uhuru. I just want to address the historic significance of this work that we're doing now, and all of you. And I want to speak also to the pedigree of some of the people who do this work. Comrade Jesse, who is our lawyer in the process of becoming, his father was a lawyer, his uncle was a lawyer, and his uncle was with Freedom Summer, 1964. And his uncle worked with and defended Stokely Carmichael back in the 1960s and what have you. So I think that is of some significance. And Janice, who we say Janice Can, her name is Janice Kant. Her grandfather was a Bolshevik, was actually there in Russia as a Bolshevik. And Comrade Yaya, Lisa here, there's this amazing picture of Lisa at 12 years old, standing in this room while in her home, while seated at the dining room table, I guess holding court, was Gorbachev. Gorbachev, the wife of Gorbachev, who became the prime minister of Russia. And so you may not have had an opportunity to have a relative who was a Bolshevik, but you have been in the company of African internationalists and the continuation of a revolutionary project that even gave birth to Bolshevism. And you may not have an uncle who worked with Stokely, but you've got friends and comrades who worked with revolutionary forces all around you here. Everybody here is a part of that. So the pedigree is something that belongs to everybody. And I just wanted to say that. I just think it's important, and it's important, I think, at this time that we live in, because the revolution never surrendered. We never surrendered. We're still here, and we're here during this era that has terrified so many people But we recognize as a consequence of a social system of colonialism in a state of severe crisis. And the center can't hold, as they said in foreign affairs. Uhuru.
Uhuru, everyone. It's such a great honor to be here. My name is Raphael. I don't actually have any family members who were Bolsheviks, but I am a member of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement.
Right on.
and Impedum. I'd like to salute my leadership, the African People's Socialist Party, Ona Zene Yeshitela and Chairman Omali Yeshitela. I'm excited to introduce this panel today titled "The Anti-Colonial Struggle is the Driving Force of History, Victory to African, Indigenous, and Palestinian People." We are honored to have four amazing panelists with us. Benny Hess, Nancy M. couldn't make it, Afia Nwangaza, and Yejide Ornmila. And our panelists will each be speaking for 15 minutes on the subject of the anti-colonial struggle as the driving force of history and why the future of all humanity is being forged by the righteous struggles of African, Palestinian, Indigenous, and colonized peoples for national liberation and self-determination. As white people, we are honored to be under the leadership of the African anti-colonial struggle, which puts us in unity with all oppressed peoples everywhere. After the statements from our panelists, we will open it up for discussions and questions from the audience. So at this time, we'd love to bring up all of our speakers, starting with Penny Hess. If we could have Afia Nwangaza come up here. And then also introducing Yejide Orunmila.
Thank you, Raphael. Uhuru. Who's first? Uhuru. I am? Okay. Uhuru. Well, first of all, I want to again, remind us of what the chairman was just saying, that, that we have the honor of being in the presence of greats, of giants, of the national liberation movement right here, and that chairman has fought for the liberation of African people for his entire life, and who has, as we were saying before, who has solved the problems of the revolution. The chairman summed up why was the African liberation movement defeated in the 1960s, when revolutions were being won. As the chairman said, the main trend, revolution was the main trend in the world at that time, when there was revolution in Vietnam, and certainly all throughout Africa and Angola and Mozambique and throughout South America, and certainly of the African Revolution inside the U.S. And so the thing that I just wanted to say a couple of things, because that revolution is not over. And it didn't end because people were happy about what happened. But we are with Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Afia Nwangaza, who were both in the period of the 60s, who fought like hell, who were leaders in this time. Afia in the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Chairman also was in the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. That was the main organization that, as they say, if this is correct, that it kind of bridged the gap between the civil rights movement and the Black Power movement. And as Stokely Carmichael became the one of the people for Afia's going to talk about this. So I wanted to say a couple of things, and it's a little bit on this. First of all, I wanted to salute Comrade Kara, by the way. I don't know if Kara's still here, but yes, there she is. Kara, I wanted to salute you because I was thinking back about how long that you've been in the movement. And I do remember before there was an iPhone, before that was a thing, you would use your phone. It might have been a flip phone. I don't know what you were doing. And you had earphones on to your phone. And I was like, well, what are you listening to? And you said, oh, I'm listening to a speech by Chairman Omali Shatella. And I was like, is that a thing? I didn't even know you could listen to your phone. And you were there listening to the phone. I just wanted to say, listening to the chairman's speeches on the phone. So that was very, very, very impressive. And I wanted to also say, I don't know, is Comrade Redbeard still in the room? There you are, Comrade. Do you remember when we were in San Francisco, the chairman was in San Francisco, and the struggle for the liberation of Nicaragua was going on. The Sandinistas were very close. The Sandinistas that were assigned to San Francisco, because there were a lot of Nicaraguan exiles in San Francisco at that time. And I remember there was Mario, Dennis, and Carmen. And they spoke at every event that we had in that period. We had many events at the Women's Building. Also, we talked about Nancy M. Is Nancy the one whose parents spoke at the Uhuru movement?
That was Mona.
Oh, that was Mona. Okay, Mona. That was another comrade who was part of Hands Off Uhuru, whose parents, she is from Egypt, I think it is, but she was speaking about, in Hands Off Uhuru, she played a role of speaking about the Palestinian struggle, and we found out that her parents spoke at an event, not at the Uhuru House, but at the Women's Building in San Francisco. That was an Uhuru movement event way back in that period. So, there's so much history there. But I remember the period when the Sandinistas were in San Francisco. We knew them. We worked. The party worked with them, and they had demonstrations every Saturday in the Mission area of San Francisco.
And they had a cultural center called Casa Nicaragua.
That's right, Casa Nicaragua. Casa Nicaragua. They showed raw footage of the struggle that was taking place in Nicaragua. It was so immediate. But the thing that really strikes, that I wanted to raise that was one of the things that they really talked about in practice was the struggle for dual and contending power. And how it worked was they could take a town or a whole area, region, and it became liberated territory, and then the colonial state could not come into there because the people would come out, and they had to fight that, and it became, they would take the liberated territories and they would become larger and larger and larger. And that is what the party is doing. That is what Deputy Chair and her office is doing. It is creating dual and contending power and we've seen so many, and that was such a powerful, inspiring presentation, Deputy Chair, and this work. And we've seen how the state, like here is this neighborhood, this area of North St. Louis is designated even by the city as a food desert or a food apartheid. There's no food here. There's no grocery stores, no restaurants, and so the city attacks the Uhuru movement, for opening a bakery in a food desert. And that's clear that because they are fighting not a bakery, they're fighting dual and contending power and liberated territory of the Uhuru movement, of the African working class on the north side of St. Louis. And that's why it was a powerful, powerful fight back and victory that was won in this struggle for led by the office of deputy chair. And it was very powerful. So, yeah, I wanted to say that, and also that this kind of work on the ground is, it's going to continue. This is, anyway, there's going to be a lot more that we're going to be talking about. And I do want to make a call, and I will again tomorrow. I do want to make a call for any of the comrades who are here today or online to move here. Move here. This is where dual and contending power is happening. Move to liberated territory. We need you here. We need people to be on the ground, organizing, raising resources, and doing physical work that is being called for by the party. So I'm really serious about that. I'm really serious about that. Come here to St. Louis. And I also wanted to say that the chairman said to say this. The chairman said when he was speaking, he said, quote, that African people were enslaved and therefore, and were property. And he goes, therefore I was possessed. He says, I was possessed. But it reminded me, it just brought to mind, because sometimes the chairman in the past has likened, this colonial white population as something to the sci-fi movie, The Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And if anybody has seen that, if you haven't seen it, you have to see it. But where these pods happen, and these people-like characters come out of the pods, but they're really just, it's a white population. they're robots, etc. And I just think that's a good thing. And some people also, by the way, think that film is about the MK Ultra program, which is a real thing. Even though there is a really good book about that called The Poisoner in Chief, and I really urge people to read that because it documents the MK Ultra and all of the things that they attempted to do to the African Revolution and to revolutionary movements around the world as part of the counterinsurgency. So, yeah, I just really wanted to salute Comrade Redbeard, who has been out there for so long from the Desi Woods movement. There was a picture there of the Free Desi Woods demonstration in downtown San Francisco in those days of the 1970s and early 80s. I also wanted to be able to address what the chairman has called the opportunism of the white population. The ability, because we sit on the pedestal of the oppression of African people, we see ourselves. We see ourselves in the center. We put ourselves in the center. And, this alienation of white people from the rest of the planet Earth is something that enables, that this relationship under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party enables us, for the first time in history, as white people, to have a principled relationship to African people and the people on the planet Earth. Because otherwise it's white people going into, trying to have a relationship to African people based on the same relations of colonialism and the power structure that exists there. And white people are the colonizers, and that is very clear. So this is very, very powerful. I also wanted to, we were talking about before, the chairman introduced the question of reparations and made it a household word. In 1982, when the party held the first tribunal on reparations to African people in Brooklyn, New York, and I think I talked about that a little bit before, but the chairman, a lot of people, we would be out there from the Solidarity Movement with the banners, reparations to African people, and people who were sort of watching any kind of demonstration we had would be like, well, what is reparations? What does that even mean? And we would explain it. And now it is a household word. And there is no place, the chairman made it that. That was his goal. Reparations would be a household word, he said. And he made it that. He made it that through making and summing up the demand of reparations as what is owed to African people based on a parasitic economy that has stolen the labor, the freedom, the genius, the land, the resources of Africa and African people and indigenous people and the peoples on the planet Earth. So every little town now, because I get a Google notice of reparations in my email, and every little town, everywhere, there is a reparations commission. And people are organizing for reparations in corporations and all of this. And it's not saying that these are revolutionary, but it is something unleashed that will not go back in the bottle. Because it is there. And whether some of it is opportunist or just to get some money, as far as I'm concerned, fine. Because the fact is that the demand is out there, but we have to understand that it came from Chairman Omali Shatella, and it was a revolutionary demand. So I wanted to say that, and that, again, that the chairman has fought for the understanding, and this is so critical, that the struggle of African people is not against racism. It is not against the ideas in white people's heads, because that calls for African assimilation into the status quo of the colonial mode of production. And that really makes so much sense to me. It's about colonialism, and it's not something that you could use racism and colonialism to be interchangeable, because colonialism is defined by the domination of an entire people by another, as the party says, a foreign and alien population for profit with violence. That's what colonialism is. And as the chairman said, that makes you have the conclusion that the struggle of African people is for power. It is for power. But if you're talking about racism, then you're saying the struggle of African people is to make, as the chairman says, make white people like them. And that's absurd. And the chairman has said that it is the goal of the party for African people to have the power to keep any white person or government with racist ideas in their heads from hurting African people ever again. And African people would have power, state power, to govern themselves. And I just feel that, to me, that is what recruited me. The chairman recruited me based on this. This makes so much sense. This makes so much sense. And white people can get behind this as well and be part of it and carry out what it is that we have to do, because the Solidarity Movement was created as the front of the party behind enemy lines. And that's where we live. We live behind enemy. We live in the enemy lines in terms of colonialism. And we're about changing that, turning that over, and winning more and more white people to abandon that place on the pedestal and to to jump off that and join the people on the planet Earth, get rid of anxiety and all the things that, that white people have, the fears, the anxiety, the whatever, the need to take meds for this and that. And what we need is solidarity, is being under the leadership of the African Revolution. And we know that this is how we are part of the world. This is our liberation, our redemption to be part of that. And the chairman has introduced that to the world and the colonial question. And you don't see I think the chairman was saying this. If you look at different things and websites and books that are coming out, you don't see people writing a lot about racism now. They're writing about colonialism. There are books about colonialism, and this is due to the chairman. So I don't know what my time is, or my time is up, but.
We have 7.
Pardon me?
7.
I have 7 more minutes? Okay, well, let me just say a few more things then. I know the chairman a lot when he talks about, sort of the ultimate of white religion is the Catholic religion. And I would just say I was raised a Catholic. I went to Catholic school from kindergarten through the first 2 years of university, where I went to Jesuit. And I despised that. I had to do that because of my parents. I still lived with my parents for those years, but I despised the Catholic Church. I just thought it was inhuman. And so I did, as part of the movement, I did research it. And I do know that the Catholic Church played a huge role, probably a leading role, one of the most leading roles in the whole division of the world into colonial, under different colonial powers. And that the Catholic Church in particular played a huge role in the actual genocide of the indigenous people. So there are places throughout the country and in California in particular where they call it Mission Dolores, and all up and down the coast. These were Catholic, and there's one in LA, San Diego, all the way. They started out as Jesuit missions in which they used enslaved indigenous people. And we know, first of all, what the whole rape, the rape of children, all of them. This is all part of colonialism. This is what the Catholic Church represents. It represents the greatest wealth of colonial plunder, and it represents, rape and terror of indigenous and African children, and genocide, active genocide in murdering and working to death indigenous people, and a huge role in the what's called the trade, the slave trade, the trade in human beings. So this is what the Catholic Church is. So I just wanted to say that as well. And one other thing that I wanted to bring out that the chairman has taught us is that he's always said that Jews were Germans when Europe was slaughtering African people.
When Germany was
Who did I say it was?
doing it. Germany, yeah.
Yeah, when Germany was slaughtering African people throughout the continent of Africa, in Namibia, in Kenya, and all of this, millions of African people, and that, they always have that thing about, well, they'll come for me in the morning, and in fact, like the chairman said, they already came for African people. Right. And so then they raised what happened when white people killed other white people in Europe, in Germany, that the Zionists and the Jews raised this, and the U.S. government to the greatest Holocaust ever, when in fact, we don't, like 20 million people in Congo murdered. How many in Kenya and Zania, South Africa, and many, many, many other places throughout the continent of Africa. So that is another thing that we have to understand, that the answer, the future, is in the liberation of African people, and when Africa is free, when African people everywhere are free, the world will be free, because the colonial wealth that is extracted from Africa today is immense. And so there's no way, as we were saying, that we could walk over African people to support Palestine. We support Palestine by supporting the African liberation movement that has a relationship that is part of the struggle of the people of Palestine for national liberation. So we have to, this is about winning and creating and fighting for a principled relationship to African people under the leadership of the African liberation movement, fighting for reparations, getting the resources, turning it back over, so this dual power that is being built by the Uhuru movement, this liberated territory, can continue to build and go forward in a powerful way, and we have the honor of being part of that. So I just wanted to say Uhuru, and we are winning. I'm proud to be on the winning side. Uhuru.
Wow, that was moving, Penny, and informative as always. Now we'll be moving to Afia to speak on the African anti-colonial struggle within the U.S. and around the world.
Uhuru. I am, first of all, let me salute Comrade Omali Yesatawa, Deputy Chair, Onazine Yesatawa, and all of you for the work that you do and the presence that you maintain in the universe. I believe very strongly in what's called the butterfly effect. And that when the butterfly flaps its wings, that energy emanates around the planet and throughout the universe. And the fact that Chairman Omali Yesatawa could survive and thrive despite the assault on the African Revolution, both here and abroad, kept that energy present in the universe and created an opportunity for all of us to survive and thrive in the ways that we would otherwise have been deficient.
Yes.
Penny mentioned that, in fact, I was reminding her when I first met her. In fact, I met the movement through Penny's book, which was the result of someone tabling from the movement at an Cobra event in Atlanta. And it was working back from that book that I became aware of the Uhuru movement and actually of Chairman Omali Yesatawa. SNCC, our nexus was the fulcrum taking up the challenge of Malcolm X to move the U.S. freedom movement, commonly called the civil rights movement, to a human rights movement committed to self-determination, as coined in the phrase Black Power. It was the members of the Atlanta Project, which ran a gamut of activists, organizers, students, seasoned and newly initiated, who had experienced or observed and all analyzed the struggle, the modern struggle that had actually began in the 40s. We have a tendency to think that the movement began in the 60s, but it's been going on for about 600 years now, but the modern phase of it. Recognize the effort as represented by A. Philip Randolph and the labor movement, the desegregation of the U.S. military, which was a betrayal of ancestors before, and even of indigenous people. An indigenous college professor was recently annoyed by me when I pointed out she was bragging about the code talkers. And I talked about the African buffalo soldiers, both of which were suffering from Stockholm syndrome. It was those of us who had already been involved in the Freedom Summer movement in Mississippi, Southwest Georgia, you've heard the stories, who had gone to Atlantic City to challenge the Democrat Party to seat the integrated delegation from Mississippi, only to be turned away and urged to compromise by taking 2 seats in an at-large section. When Mrs. Hamer said, all of us is tired, not just just 2 of us, and refused, was not flattered by that proposal. Indeed, was insulted and refused to take those 2 seats. People came back from Atlantic City wondering what to do, what's next? What do we do next? What can we do next? So the Voting Rights Act passed. It just had the 60th anniversary in Selma with everybody showing up to get their pictures taken on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. But the people on the Atlanta Project said, we just got Julian Bond elected. And because he was the communications secretary for SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and SNCC, before SCLC or NAACP came out in opposition to the U.S. war on Vietnam, having signed on to a deal to not criticize the U.S. government when it was at war, rightfully or not. SNCC broke that rule and said, no, it's wrong. And not only is it wrong, but we're not even going to go, and we're going to tell other people don't go. My father was a certified counselor trained by the American Friends Service Committee to help young men to get conscientious objector status so that they would not have to go. And while that was a step, it wasn't the step, because there are other ways to support violence against folk, colonialism and exploitation, than carrying a gun. So even as a conscientious objector, if you were willing to be a medic, you just as well as had a gun. However, it set the tone for myself and my brothers and sisters to understand that participation in imperialist wars was not okay. Right. So the Atlanta Project prodded SNCC into taking that position, and having taken that position, and Julian as communications secretary announcing that position, was denied his seat in the Georgia legislature. He was the first black person to be elected to the Georgia legislature since Reconstruction. But they said, that don't matter to us. If you come out against our interests, we will not allow you to enjoy the privileges of our interests. So they refused to seat him. And the Atlanta Project was created to run the second campaign, the special election for Julian Bond, in order for him to run again, win his seat both in the streets and in the courts.
Right.
But we were saying that doesn't empower black people to have power over our lives, as the chairman often characterizes it. What we need is power.
Yes.
Black power.
Yes.
Richard Wright, a communist activist back in the 20s, had written a book called Black Power. The year before we made the call with our position paper, Adam Clayton Powell gave a formal address at Howard University Law School saying what we need is black power. He said, you have the power in your hands. And of course, what he meant was the ballot. But the people on the Atlanta Project, we knew that the limitations of electoral politics was such that we didn't have the power in our hands as represented by the ballot. Because Julian had gotten elected, and they didn't even have to seat him if they didn't want to, without a great deal of difficulty. And then once they seated him, he was in a minority like the rest of us around the country, that you could be present but not be counted. So the question remains, where do we go from here, and what do we do next? In New Orleans, we began reading, looking at the film, The Battle of Algiers.
Yeah.
Reading Fanon, Wretched of the Earth. Black Skin, White Mask. To try and answer that question, with which Martin Luther King was also grappling. Wrote a book, Where Do We Go From Here? But he didn't get to the challenge that Malcolm raised. That where we go is to the global human rights struggle. Even though King had been present at the independence celebration for Ghana, celebrated other African countries and their flag independence because they remained economically and militarily under the control, as today, of the colonizer. So what we said is, white folks need to go home and organize their mama, their daddy, their sister, their brother, their cousin. Stop hiding in the black community.
Right.
Go and challenge the source
Yes.
of the problem. And black folks stop succumbing, surrendering, tolerating the brainwashing and the crumbs that we were given to be complicit in our oppression. That meant that we had to stand up on our own 2 feet. And that meant that there were some of us who would even have to pick up the gun, go to jail, forego that bright, shiny bauble, whether it was a PhD, an MA, a BA, even a high school diploma, a house with a twin-car garage or a color TV, to be free. We had to make some decisions about what, in fact, is important in the life of humanity, including our own. Understanding that we were in an environment, an ongoing criminal enterprise built with stolen labor on stolen land. And that in order to survive in that environment righteously, we had to dismantle, to challenge that criminal system, to not allow it to not only define us, but to define anyone or anything else and to challenge it. Recently, I've been working with the young people out of Atlanta in the Stop Cop City project. And I began working with them out of frustration, quite frankly, because we were hearing so much about Atlanta and they were still talking about Atlanta, but like mushrooms popping up all around across this country, over 100 cop cities were emerging in various forms. And I said to myself, don't they understand that it's not just a cop city, but a cop nation? That it is a global phenomenon that has to be challenged? So I wrote them an open letter. The proposed Atlanta Cop City Uber militarization training base and headquarters is a reincarnation of antebellum South Carolina Citadel, founded in 1842. The Citadel traces its origins to an arsenal constructed by the state of South Carolina to defend white Charlestonians against possible slave uprisings following Denmark Vesey's thwarted Rebellion of 1822. It was preceded by the Stono Rebellion and the Haitian Rebellion. And even before that, in 1811, the New Orleans Rebellion. Even Thomas Jefferson was mindful of the roots of resistance and the need of human beings to be free. Penny mentioned the new books, not on racism, not even on white supremacy. Born in Blackness, written by Howard French, a former New York Times publisher, who goes back to 1400s and before the papal bull of the Catholic Church, and talks about and documents the observation that the chairman often makes and that Penny mentioned, of standing on the pedestal. His premise is that modern human history is based on standing on the pedestal of African oppression. So today, I am moved. I'm always moved when I'm with you all. I am informed, instructed, and inspired because you have survived. You have kept the spirit of revolution alive. And in a timely fashion, the moment has come again where it will flourish. Thank you for this opportunity.
We've done a lot of work to bring this issue of colonialism, to resurrect it, because it had been wiped out. Nobody was talking about colonialism. It was all about racism, which ultimately means making white people like you, either by being like white people, acting like white people, doing stuff that's approved by the system. It killed people like Malcolm, that killed and overthrown Nkrumah, ultimately killing him, killed Lumumba, killed Che, and that whole movement of struggle, you know, like what was it, 1967, 66, 67, I think it was 66, where the Tricontinental Conference happened in Cuba, where people from Africa, Asia, Latin America came together in Cuba. All of it was anti-colonial struggle that we're talking about. Before then, of course, we'd seen a Bandung conference, where people that got together from colonized people from all around the world, saying that we were not going to be colonized anymore. And this happened in Indonesia. And of course, the person, premier, I think, of China, who am I thinking of? Zhou Enlai. Attended that. China played a big role in that, by the way, and had just become independent. So you have this whole trajectory of people, human beings, just wanting to be free. That was the theme. That was what everybody was about. And our oppressors succeeded in killing people. The reason that the Tricontinental Conference was held in Havana was because the place where it was supposed to have happened, it might have been, it was somewhere in Asia. The person from Morocco, I think, was supposed to, they assassinated, the French killed him. And so it couldn't happen there. And so they moved it to Havana. So I think it's important to recognize this is a part of the trajectory we're looking at. And so we forced the question of colonialism back onto the agenda. Nobody's kissing the ass of white people anymore to be liked. People want our own power, our own capacity to feed, clothe, and house ourselves. And we've answered the question, what is black power? Black power is self-government. Black power is state power in the hands of African people. That's what we're constructing right now. Also, I think, excuse me, it's important to say that while people are now able to talk about colonialism, one reason they're able to do it, even though it is a defensive posture, people writing about settler colonialism, part because they want to take command of this discussion away from the people who are fighting for it. None of the books that we are reading are talking about people who are living today fighting against colonialism. They make reference Palestine because you have to reference Palestine if you're going to have a discussion like that. But the place that they're impossible, the problem they run into, in part, and one reason they can't mention us, and other stuff they write, is because we are actually engaged in the project right now, the process of doing self-government.
Yes.
It's not just some academic BS discussion. And finally, they can talk about colonialism as a policy. See, when Portugal first struck out in 1415 and attacked Africa, it might have been a policy of Portugal to do that. This is the way to get rich quick. And this is what other countries quickly did. This is how Europe got defined. There was no Europe before then.
That's right.
This is how Europe got defined. But pretty soon, it became more than just a policy. It became a mode of production. It was the process that for the first time in human history created a world economy. People may have traded with each other across the globe before. Africa has been everywhere in terms of trade, but it was not one single economy. And this thing that Portugal initiated was a process that created for the first time in human history a world economy. It linked the entire globe together in a common economy. This is what people are having problems recognizing or trying to obscure. So they want to talk about colonialism as a policy today, but not as the system.
Right.
Colonialism is the whole damn system. It is not just a policy.
Right.
It is not just a decision that Trump or somebody else makes. It's the system. And they won't fight the system. So they'll fight the reflection. They'll fight what looks like some of the symptoms of the system, but we're saying the system has to go.
Exactly.
That's why you look at what has happened in this country. How people who left SNCC, white people who were flaming revolutionaries, they became flaming revolutionaries. I can tell you the names of people where you see the RCP, all those other organizations, they were connected to SDS and SNCC in the beginning. But when they were asked to go back to their own communities and discover the revolution, to go to the core, the source of the contradiction, they discovered Vietnam. Vietnam is already there. We could have told them that.
Vietnam, sexism, poverty.
It was already there, and we were fighting it. And they could have united with us to fight in solidarity with the people of Vietnam, but they didn't. Because fighting with us meant overturning the system. And they can be here and fight against Vietnam because they were not going to join the Vietnamese people in the bush.
Well,
They were not, damn sure not going there. And then they did the same thing to us recently with this, with the question of Palestine. They would pit the struggle of black people against the struggle of Palestinians. We were fighting Palestinians when the white left deserted Palestine and took their monies away from our movements, etc., because we supported Palestine.
that's right.
The entire white left
That's right.
turned, all the liberals and everything turned against it. Now they become the protectors of the Palestinians because they got a lot of money.
Well,
And that's why we've said, people who support the struggle against colonialism, you don't do that on your own. You don't go to Vietnam and tell the Vietnamese people, I'm in solidarity, this is how you have to fight.
Right.
You don't go to Cuba and say that, this is how you have to do in order to get along. And we say you don't come to the African struggle and tell us what we're supposed to do. If you unite with the struggle against colonialism, you unite with the colonized. You unite with the colonized. And people have built their movements and their struggles claiming that to be united with us, but they built themselves instead. One organization was notorious. They described, this is when I met Maureen, and this is where I met Allison, and some other people who are in this room now, Carmel Penny, because these people had discovered the oppression of African people, but they said that fundamental contradiction. What they said was, they said it was white and men supremacy, male and white supremacy. What the hell are you talking about? And so they said that if you want to join, if you want to fight, be in solidarity with black people, you don't have to work under the leadership of the colonized. You work under our leadership. Because we are against male and white supremacy. How does that translate into support for the colonized people? It translates in support for your white ass. That's what it translates. So I thank you so much. And I know I've over-talked you, but I just wanted to make those comments. Thank you.
What an honor to be here sitting among such legendary revolutionaries. The chairman, Afia, Penny, and now we're going to hear from Yejide or Mila about the African women in the anti-colonial struggle?
Oh, there
Be
she.
heard?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello, comrades. Oh man, this has been an incredible panel, and I just appreciate comrades Penny and comrade Mfia and comrade Chairman for what has been said before me. And yeah, I just appreciate the Uhuru Solidarity Movement also for making the struggle under the leadership of the African working class to, bring reparations into this revolutionary struggle and to really win it inside the white community. So Uhuru and a great convention so far. So comrades, I have been asked to talk about the women's struggle and the anti-colonial perspective. And I just want to say that today we're like gathered here at a critical moment in history. This is a moment that's shaped by relentless struggle of oppressed peoples to break free from the shackles of colonial domination. And the forces of imperialism and settler colonialism have waged war against African, indigenous, and Palestinian people for centuries, yet our history shows one of undeniable truth. It is the anti colonial struggle that moves history forward. It is our resistance, our demand for self determination, and our unwavering fight for justice that have shaped the entire world. As African women, we stand at the forefront of this struggle. We are not passive victims of colonialism, but active participants in the liberation of our people. The African National Women's Organization, ANWO, was founded as on the principle that African women must organize to destroy parasitic capitalism and destroy a parasitic system that thrives on our oppression. We understand that our liberation is tied to the liberation of our entire people. There is no African freedom without African women. There is no revolution without the total destruction of the colonial capitalist system. And we recognize that a woman's place is in the struggle, whether it be an African woman fighting for African liberation, white women who are in the reparations movement to support African liberation. This slogan is not just a slogan, it's a truth proven by history. Too often we are told that our role is in the background, supporting but not leading, nurturing but not fighting. But the reality is that African women have always been warriors, strategists, and revolutionaries. We have carried the burden of resistance on our backs while raising children, building communities, and protecting the people. The world does not move without the labor and strength and resilience of African women. So our fight is not just about colonialism as a broad system, but also against the internalized oppression that seeks to silence us within our own movements. And we reject the idea that liberation of African women is secondary to the liberation of our people as a whole. And these struggles are not separate, they are one. We will not be free until the chains of colonial violence are broken. The fight for African women's liberation is not in addition to making the African Revolution, it is essential as a front in the struggle against colonialism itself. So we are not fooled also by the rise of the African petty bourgeoisie to places of perceived power either. We know that African men and women are part of the colonial strategy to maintain power. We must struggle and win the position that Black women in particular make our highest achievements through our struggle for liberation. And we recognize that colonialism is the root of our oppression. It is the greatest crime against humanity. It is our stolen land, our labor, our culture, and our very humanity. It is the reason why African people are scattered across the world, suffering under the weight of poverty, state violence, and political oppression. It's the same system that enslaved our ancestors, that robbed the indigenous people of their land, that wages a genocidal war against Palestine, is the same system we are fighting right now, today. It is the same enemy, whether it's in the police forces that occupy our community, the Israeli bombs that massacre Palestinians, or the colonial project of the US that exploits the labor and lands of the indigenous people. Our history is just not one of oppression, though. It is a history of struggle. It is the Haitian Revolution that defeated the armies of France, Spain, and Britain to establish the first free Black republic. It is the Mau Mau in Kenya, the liberation movements in Algeria, Zimbabwe, Guinea-Bissau, and Angola. It is the Black Panther Party in the U.S. and the African People's Socialist Party that has waged a relentless struggle against colonialism. And as African women, we struggle for liberation. We have always been at the center of the anti-colonial struggle, from examples like Ya Santawa, who is a Ashanti, who resisted as a part of the Ashanti people, to Harriet Tubman, who led our people to freedom in the U.S., from Queen Nzinga fighting Portuguese colonizers to the revolutionary leadership of Assata Shakur. Our history is filled with women, those women and more, who have refused to submit to oppression. And today, African women continue to be on the front lines and are, whether they're Black mothers from Ferguson who led uprisings against police terror, or in South Africa where African women organize every day to survive and improve their conditions, considering that they're still living under settler colonialism. In Palestine, we see the strength of women standing in the face of the Israeli occupation. In indigenous communities, women are leading the fight against environmental destruction and land theft. And these struggles are connected because colonialism is a global system and it must be destroyed globally. Our struggle is a struggle for power. Just like the chairman said, like, we're not here asking anybody for anything. We are here making and creating a new world through the process of making the African Revolution right now, creating liberated territory, and we are preparing ourselves to govern. So we're not begging for justice, we're seizing it. And the path to victory is through organization and through revolutionary action. Annual calls on African women to reject colonial or bourgeois feminism, which seeks to integrate us into the same oppressive system, and instead embrace revolutionary African womanhood, which demands total liberation for our people. And we reject the lies of the colonial bourgeois media that demonize our struggle. We reject the criminalization of our movements. We reject the attempts to isolate us from the Palestinian and indigenous sisters and brothers. And we say no to U.S. imperialism. We say no to colonialism, and we say no to Zionist occupation, and no to the genocide of indigenous people in the Americas. And we say yes to African self-determination. We say yes to Palestinian resistance, and we say yes to indigenous people and the rights of their land. And the road to liberation is painted in Black for us. Socialism is painted in Black, right? Like, we know that in order to create true socialism in the world, African people must have ownership and control of the means of our production, and we have to have a united Africa that's led by the African working class. Therefore, the path to real socialism is painted in Black. And the history teaches us that no system of oppression lasts forever. So when we're dealing with this crisis of imperialism right now, we're recognizing and we're seeing it crumble in front of our faces, and we're seeing the victory of the masses of people who are fighting against imperialism, winning and chipping away at it. So we know that it will fall. And I feel like it's going to fall in our lifetime. The colonial rulers may have guns, prisons, and armies, but they do not have the people. The masses of the world have stood up, and they stood on the side of liberation. It is our responsibility to continue to hold our movement, to raise our voices, to educate and organize, and to struggle until the very last chains of colonialism are shattered. And the time is now. Right. That's why we're here at the USM Convention. That's why we've been organizing in the streets all this time, because victory is inevitable, because history is on our side. When we see the downfall of colonialism, we will see it in our lifetime. We will see the liberation of our lands in our lifetime. We will see the future of African, indigenous, and Palestinian children live free from occupation, poverty, and terror in our lifetime. And let us continue to resist. Let us continue to organize. Let us continue to struggle until victory is ours. Uhuru, and long live the anti-colonial struggle. Long live African women's resistance, and long live the unity of oppressed peoples against colonialism. Uhuru.
Thank you, Comrade Yejide. Now we're going to open it up for some Q&A discussion. If anyone has any questions.
Come up to the mic over here.
A question for Comrade Afia, but first I want to say to you, Penny, that you mentioned reparations commissions. There is one in San Francisco.
Right.
There's one in the state of California, but the fact is, they're bogged down. They're going nowhere. And it's the Black Power Blueprint and the Who Solidarity movement that, as far as I can tell, is giving life to the reparations movement.
Exactly.
Comrade Afia, would you say that Julian Bond stayed true to the Atlanta Project?
Absolutely not. In fact, I think in some ways Julian was embarrassed by the Atlanta Project because it was beyond. The Atlanta Project came into existence from the committee for the special election of Julian Bond. And the fact that we matured and emerged beyond electoral politics put Julian and others who committed to electoral politics in an uncomfortable position because it highlighted the fact that electoral politics was not the empowerment of the people. It was simply, as someone said, I think it was Martin Luther King is credited with saying that we were integrating our people into a burning house.
Yeah.
And I look at Julian's son, who sits on the Atlanta City Council and is a proponent of the increased, enhanced militarization and thus police terrorism of the Black community in Atlanta. Julian's brother-in-law, Howard Moore, who was the chief counsel for Angela Davis and who carried Julian's case to the U.S. successfully to the U.S. Supreme Court, was one of the folks in SNCC who confronted the Atlanta Project on our position about the role of blacks and whites in the struggle for African liberation. Inadvertently, a donor sent a check to the Atlanta Project office that was meant for Julian's campaign. And the director of the project, whose name was Bill Ware, who was from Natchez, Mississippi, and who had worked in Mississippi. In fact, he was a veteran from the U.S. Air Force, refused to release the check unless and until the Central Committee of SNCC would allow us to put the issue of Black Power on the agenda. And they sent Howard Moore to the Atlanta Project office in Vine City, 142 Vine Street in Vine City. Atlanta was at the time the poorest section, poorest community in the city of Atlanta, and it was of course the black community, to tell us that if we didn't release the check that they were going to have us locked up. So, no, Julian didn't take our position. In fact, he was vehemently opposed to it. He and John Lewis.
Yeah.
John Lewis went run on, he left the organization and went on off to hide under Martin Luther King's skirt tails.
Yeah.
It wasn't until, in all candor, Kwame had to make a decision or had to find an instrument to a platform that would distinguish him from Martin Luther King and provide the kind of press coverage to which he had become accustomed and sought, that he even became a spokesperson for Black Power. So no, it was not a popular position, even though Black Lives Matter today won't hesitate to say that Black folks get to decide what's important to Black folks and white folks are the supporter of us in that decision making. That is a recent vintage, my brother.
Yeah.
I have a question, a contemporary one, or I just am seeking comments. I'm Ruth. My mailing address is Ukiah, California, and I'm a voter there, but I'm actually living in Fayetteville, Arkansas right now. But so in Ukiah, for the past 16 months, so some of us did a weekly vigil to support Palestine. And sometimes there were 4 of us there, but we went every Sunday. And then Trump got elected. And there's all these people protesting. And I used to like to see protesters, and I see them and I'm mad. Like, where have you been? And I think about, okay, they're mostly probably white Democrats. But I don't want to feel hostile to them, but I do. And we need to get more members. And I'm like, should I even bother, with these people, or I'd probably have more luck with Trump support. I just want everyone's comments on this new phenomenon of protesting, and their signs are just absurd. Yeah, you will see it. So I'm just seeking comment or solace or guidance to not hate these people.
Great statement. I mean, and I just want to say that one of the things that we learned after the party formed the African People's Solidarity Committee and told us, okay, you go in the white community and start organizing, was that we never, you're right that probably most of those protesters are Democratic Party and all that. And generally, we don't go into the left to organize because, we just go to the people. We go door to door in our neighborhoods and do tables and just meet people like that. And that's who we organize. That's who we organize. That's the best thing. Charlie, go ahead.
I don't think that we automatically allow those people to be held captive by the opportunists without any kind of contention. And if it's possible, we can ride that train because our basic thing is not opposing Trump, but colonialism. And our objective has to be to win the people to that struggle. Most people haven't the slightest idea of what you'll be talking about who are in those demonstrations about colonialism or anything like that. But people are looking for answers. That's how they ended up with Trump. That's why they tried to go with Bernie Sanders. They were disappointed by what it was. That's why Bernie Sanders supporters many of them went with Trump, etc. So we can offer an explanation. And I think that if you have the ability, if there's a capacity at all, we can do our own propaganda. You don't have to, and be able to explain to people. We can be there and say how this is limited, in terms of what it is that you're talking about, et cetera, and the whole system. And I think we can offer explanations. I think we can go into those and pass out flyers for an event that we're going to be having next Thursday night at 7 o'clock at this place and what have you, to try to win them to come to that, win what we can all the time. That's part of the struggle that we're involved in. So I would not allow them to have a monopoly on access to the people. I don't allow this stuff, this Democrats and Republicans stuff, like to have a stranglehold on our movement. Because that's just messed up, So I think it's important to try and intervene if we can, if we have that ability. And if you have the ability to be out there doing with a handful of you, doing this stuff on a regular basis, then that handful of you can also put out your own propaganda and go to those places where people are looking to try for an explanation. I passed here in St. Louis, driving down Grand, 2 days ago? A whole bunch of white people, veterans with American flags and what have you, down with Musk, and because the veterans got hit by what Musk and the rest of them are doing. Those are attacks, by the way, on structures that beneficial, like the whole Democratic Party apparatus, put that stuff in place, and then Trump is deconstructing that stuff, so they got hit, and so they're out there, etc. I drove through, wasn't going to stop and join them with the American flag, but I honked horn to support. Yeah, right on.
Uhuru, Chairman, thank you for that.
I want to add to that also a reminder. One is that none of us were born knowing. That's number one. And number two is the necessity for compassion. And I would remind us of the quotation that I'm going to screw up from Che Guevara.
Revolutionaries are motivated by
great love of the people.
Yeah.
That we remember that and practice it.
At the risk of sounding ridiculous,
Yeah.
revolutionaries are motivated by great feelings of love.
That's right.
Uhuru. I just wanted to thank the panel. This has been absolutely brilliant, incredible panel. Just really I also want to thank Comrade Ruth, who we got to meet for the first time December 16th, Tampa, Florida. Historic day, not one day.
Not one day.
And just in terms of your question, just really appreciate what you said, Chairman, and I just wanted to mention that based on your call, Chairman, on the day of Trump's inauguration, we did have USM organizers who were out at some of the protests that were happening.
Yeah.
And I want to thank Dylan, where's Dylan, for putting together this flyer. This is actually in your registration packets, which speaks to what you're talking about, Chairman. It's got a terrifying picture on it of a Trump-Biden split screen, split face kind of thing. And it says Trump and Biden equals colonialism.
Right on.
And we also have an article on UhuruSolidarity.org written by Chairwoman Penny Hess called It's Bigger Than Trump, It's the Whole Damn System. And there was also an event with that name held by the African People's Solidarity Committee with Chairwoman Penny and Chairman Omali Shatella providing this analysis. And those are the kinds of things, like the chairman is saying, we can hold, you can hold studies with people that you know to look at those materials and start to bring this understanding. And we can also, be at those rallies and, like the chairman said, promote our own rally and have our own events, to build solidarity with the anti-colonial struggle. So I just wanted to mention those things. We've got resources to help you when you get back to your city to organize. And thank you, Chairman, Chairwoman Penny, Comrade Fia, and President Yejide.
That was a SNCC newsletter, wasn't it, that got so much attention around the Palestinian question.
Absolutely. In addition to white folks organizing in white communities, and hell no, we won't go in the Vietnam War. The third position paper, there was a series of 3 position papers. The third component was support of Palestinian people and the human rights of Palestinians. And Harry Belafonte and Julie Belafonte were the lead fundraisers in the entertainment community for SNCC. And as soon as we came out in support of Palestinian human rights, all the funds dried up. they immediately refused to raise any more funds, especially if we were not repudiated by the Central Committee, which we were, actually. We were driven out of the organization with guns. The vehicles, Sojourner Fleet vehicles that we had possession of were stolen in the middle of the night, and the project was disbanded. Because they immediately, including Kwame Ture and Mukasa Willarix, recognized that to support those three positions would result in the loss of funds. So Theodore Bickel and Harry Belafonte and Miriam Makeba, they all stopped performing concerts and benefits for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. So it goes way back, deep. And it was, for me, all the more affirmation and inspiration that you all exist.
As a point of interest, perhaps, one of the reasons that our movement and party, our movement survived this terror, because it was, I cannot overstate the terror that the United States government unleashed on our movement. We know about killing of Malcolm and Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton. They were raiding Panther offices. They were raiding our offices. They were taking our newspapers and putting piss on them or stuff that smelled like piss. They would raid the Panther office and take the free food for children and put them in the middle of the room and burn it up. They were doing all of these kinds of things. But one of the things that made us able to survive this, and this is, I think, speaks to the significance of this convention and your presence, is that we opened up a new front. When we were under attack, we opened up a new front. That's what the Solidarity Movement was. We opened up a new front. We didn't surrender or etc. We didn't even retreat. We just opened up a new front. And that front was in the white community. That front was taking the struggle into the communities of the colonizers and what have you, and that played a fundamental role, and it denied them the ability to isolate us, because when they killed Fred Jonas Hampton, only a few people came out and protested. When they killed Malcolm, how many white people did you see protesting the murder of Malcolm X? So even with King, who they loved so much, it was Africans who threatened to burn Washington, D.C. down, etc. But this instance, we created a new front in the white community itself, among the colonizers. That's why they had to come at us on July 22nd, July 29th, 2022. It wasn't enough just to come for us. They had to go to the white community too, to get Jesse and Penny, because that's where we extended our movement. And this is what makes your presence so significant, and this is what makes solidarity with Black Power so meaningful as well. Uhuru.
Uhuru, let's hear it for this amazing panel. Uhuru. Give it up for day one of the 2025 USM Convention. Comrade Akia Mwangaza, Chairwoman Penny Hess, and President Dejide Olamila. Thank you to Chairman Raleigh Chatela. We are going to close out this incredible day one of White Solidarity with Black Power. Please stay tuned for the Reparations Culture and Awards Night beginning right here at 5:30. Tomorrow we will have a powerful panel on the role of white people in the struggle for Black reparations. We'll have a walking tour of the Black Power Blueprint, a workshop from the Reparations Legacy Project, and elections of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement National Steering Committee. And let's see, we do have a few announcements for you about upcoming events. Let's see. All right, I guess I'm missing those. All right, comrades, this was amazing, and we will see you back at 5:30. Uhuru! Oh, and there will be dinner.